Dieter. Fairy Tail's most low-key S-class wizard, is it you who severely injured Gajeel, Juvia, and Saul? Obviously. Jose has a deep understanding of the members of Fairy Tail. Keep every S-rank wizard in mind. But you don't have the chance to sing your triumphant song. Hand over Lucy Heartfilia. Hand it over now, Jose said. Everyone in the guild raised their heads proudly. What are you kidding? Which guild will give its partner to the enemy? Stop dreaming. Lucy is our guild's partner. Yes, go back. In the face of an enemy of Jose's level, no one in the guild flinched. Even if Dieter and Erza weren't there today, it would be impossible to hand Lucy over. They can't do anything to betray their mates. Hand over it. Jose scolded. However, it was still his steadfast guild companions who responded to him. It would be better for me to betray my partner than to die happily. Erza roared at the buildings in the distance. A merciless rebuttal. Natsu also clenched his fists and shouted, no matter what happens in the future, our answer will never change, and we will definitely break you guys down. The voice of the companion's death as if at home can be heard. There were tears in Lucis' eyes, emotional imbalance, and deep emotion in his heart. All the members drove the Phantom Lord's guild quarters with all their might, even though their shouting might not be heard by the other party. Jose got up from his position. Looking at the members of the Fairy Tail Guild floating in the air, roaring. In this case, you should eat another extra-large Jupiter. During the 15 minutes of reloading, you should struggle in fear. Jose's roar also made the voices of the guild members' shouts stagnate. What? Is Jupiter going to launch again? Damn it, even if Dieter can hold on, we're going to lose this way. Companions are angry. The momentum has also decreased a lot, and the words are not so confident. Haha, don't say one more shot, even 10 more shots will be fine. That kind of unsubstantiated attack can't even make me use all my strength. Jose, are you capable of that? Dieter stood up in time, pinched his waist and retorted to the guild station in the distance. After hearing this, the companions in the guild were all excited. Yes, we have Dieter, it doesn't matter how good your moves are. If you can stop you this time, then it will be no problem next time, just come as you like. It's comfortable. It's not a loss to Dieter. He really is the backbone of our guild. Even if the guild leader is not there, he can challenge the ghost. No matter who you are, as long as Dieter is around, your conspiracy will never succeed. All the companions roared. Like a ferocious tiger, even if it is injured and becomes a lamb to be slaughtered, it will never beg for mercy. Jose, you're just a monkey huddled in a guild. You think you're strong and can do whatever you want, but in fact you're just a little animal that makes fun of the troop, and you don't come out to die. Dieter laughed sarcastically. There was silence on the walking island. For a moment, an evil magic power soaring to the sky boiled. The sky of the guild headquarters was dyed dark black, as if the ancient gods and demons were about to revive. The terrifying magic power swept through everyone, and they couldn't help shivering, but the clamoring words in their mouths still didn't stop. The kid with sharp teeth and sharp mouth, you can stop it once or twice, and you can always stop it. Jose growled. Suddenly, a strange black thing came out of the huge building and charged towards Dieter and the others. Let's have a good time before that, Jose said. Everyone is vigilant and ready to fight at any time. The battle with the ghost is about to arrive, and success or failure is a matter of one fell swoop. I'll send you to hell, Fairy Tail. There are only 2 paths left for you now. You can go, and see if you will be destroyed by our army or by Jupiter. Jose smiled gloomily. Macau roared. It's too much, he actually wants to use Jupiter to destroy his partner. He was intimidating, he couldn't have fired, Wakaba agreed. Dieter shook his head and explained, no, he will. Those black guys are Jose's magic. Ghosts are not real humans, but ghost soldiers created by Jose's magic. The people behind were shocked. Looking at the darkness, he exclaimed, what, you say Yu Bing is? Stop talking nonsense. Dieter stopped everyone from continuing to speculate, and ordered, our top priority is to solve Jupiter. Although I am not afraid of the magic beam cannon, it is naturally the best to solve it. Natsu over there immediately asked Ying. Then I'll go and destroy it, don't you have 15 minutes? I'll deal with it. Dieter nodded. Gray and Elfman also come over. Lucy, don't run around, it's safest to stay here. Okay, man. Gray and Elfman also rushed towards the sea immediately. After confirming that everyone had gone, he looked at Erza. The 2 of us will wait for a while to see if Jose will send someone down. If not, we will deal with the deity. The latter nodded fiercely. Immediately summon swords and weapons and guild companions to kill those ghost soldiers. It's useless, as long as my ghost soldiers touch them, the power of life will be sucked away by their opinions, and they are immortal. Just wait to be sucked dry. Ha ha ha. Jose roared wildly up to the sky and let out his drake-like laughter. How can there be such a difficult creature? Macau found that the reunion also gritted his teeth after he had dealt with Yu Bing. The same is true for Wakaba. Dieter, is there no way to eliminate these ghost soldiers? Hearing their questioning, Dieter also sighed. Looking at the building in the distance, he said, only by knocking Jose down. Everyone's heart sank. They never thought of defeating Jose. No matter what, Jose is also a magician of the Holy Ten, and he is at the same level as the president. How could he be defeated so easily? Even Dieter might not be able to defeat Jose, so could he just be drained of his magic power and fail? It seems that Jose is not going to come out, so I will go over and solve these problems. After waiting for a while, I didn't see Jose or send the four elements out, and I realized that it was useless to wait any longer, so I took the initiative to say that I would go to the Phantom Lord Guild headquarters to fight. I'll go with you, Erza suggested. Dieter refused. No, there must be someone here to take care of it. No one can imagine whether Jose will deliberately spare us, so we need you here. Dieter looked very serious when he said this. Whenever he saw Dieter with this expression, Erza would agree even if he felt inappropriate. Nodding and agreeing. Be careful. If you can't do it, go back. The big deal is that we leave here. Dieter smiled. The body vacated and flew towards the huge building on the sea. The speed has also increased rapidly. As if they were afraid that Natsu or Gray would knock down all their opponents and not give him a chance to shoot. Inside the Phantom Lord Guild, Natsu has already played against Totemaru of the Four Elements. Gray and Elfman also act separately, the former encountering Juvia and the latter encountering Saul. Dieter came inside and sensed the enemy by seeing, and smelling. Instead of helping Natsu and the others, he went straight to the other enemies. Came to a room soon. Hoo-hoo, as soon as a strong wind blew in, Dieter immediately retreated. It's really sad. The green robe in front of him wrapped his sturdy body, with a hat on his head, and cloth strips covering his eyes on his face. It is Arya, the first of the four elements. The Dingtianju is about to decay and fall away, leaving only broken limbs and leaves. The wind blew the robes on Arya's body, and the magic was restrained in her body, singing Wen Qing's poems. Yeah, Ding Tianju is about to die. I don't know what Jose will look like when you die. Dieter sighed. He could sense the terrifying magic power of Jose above his head. But it would obviously be impossible for Arya, who is the first of the four elements, to fight Jose, but he didn't feel any regrets, and Arya's magic was also very interesting. It made Dieter want to try it out. My name is Arya, and I am the highest among the four elements. Now I have come here to hunt the pillar of fairy tale. Arya posed. Tears flowed from his eyes, which were covered with white cloth. He seemed to be crying for Dieter who was about to fall, and he seemed to be so excited that he could destroy Dieter with his own hands. The magic is not very good, but the tone is not small. Dieter sneered, charging towards Arya to warm up first. Airspace absolute. Arya's palm was aimed at Dieter, a magic circle emerged, and a powerful shockwave popped out. The attack is invisible. Either take the damage and rush to progress, or choose to retreat to find other opportunities. For many people, facing this kind of move, there are only these two results. But it wasn't much of a problem for Dieter. See the color smell. The red light in his eyes flickered slightly, and within the powerful perception range, he could clearly know where those shockwaves were. Paper painting. Seeing, hearing, and smelling combined with the 6 naval stances, the forward posture of the body did not change, but the upper body changed direction again and again. The seemingly powerful magic of Arya had nowhere to hide under Dieter's eyes. Rubber bullets. Dieter flashed his body to Arya's face, swung his arm back and twisted it for more force. Armed color. Domineering covers the fist of the arm and retracts it quickly, and the rapid rotation of the arm increases both the power and the destructive power exponentially. Boom. Hit Arya instantly. Clap clap. Stab it. Arya couldn't dodge as well as get hit from the front. Under the action of that powerful force, the body was slapped back and slid a constant distance. Both feet pair out 2 traces on the ground inside the castle. Really powerful. Arya rubbed her stomach and sighed heavily. He had already been beaten somewhat unexpectedly by Dieter's punch, and he also understood that if he wanted to defeat Dieter, he couldn't have any reservations. Haha, it hasn't started yet. Dieter rushed out again with a smile, his arms flexibly using the properties of the rubber fruit to keep attacking Arya. The latter can only passively defend. The magic used was easily evaded every time, as if it had been perceived in advance. Your strength is not enough in front of me. If you have this strength, you will fall, Dieter quipped. Both hands quickly hit Arya. Armed color. Rubber machine gun. The fists slammed at the opponent quickly, and the fists turned into afterimages and aimed at Arya's body and frantically output. That punch to the meat attack might not be strong in a single shot. But dozens of punches or even hundreds of punches slam down. Even if Arya is strong and strong enough, he can't stand it. Looks like I can't get you down here without showing some real skills, Arya said. Reach out and remove the eye strap from your face. Boom. That moment. The room where Dieter and Arya were fighting had been blowing violently, blowing the clothes of both sides. The magic within Arya is rising steadily. A powerful magic power filled his body, and the magic power appeared in front of the naked eye. Dieter couldn't help but be a little more serious. Second gear. With both hands on the knees, the blood flow in the body is accelerated like a pump. For a while, Dieter's skin turned red, a lot of steam came out of his body, and his body's strength and speed were greatly improved. You're not the only one who can suppress strength, I can too. Then let me see if you are stronger or I am stronger, Dieter said. Whoosh. Instantly the body disappeared in place. The speed increased to a new stage, and he came behind Arya in an instant. Rubber jet pistol, with palm on Arya, right punch. There was no movement in the arm, and a shot of air hit Arya. Arya was hit in the back, and her body couldn't help moving forward. Fortunately, it was stopped in time, but she was also caught off guard by this sudden move and groaned. Momentary success or failure is not enough, Arya said. He turned slowly to look at Dieter, the four-lobed eyes looking dangerous. Dead airspace 0, the wind was blowing, and Arya's magic was venting. This airspace will devour all life, hoo-hoo. The wind was still whistling. The whole room was surrounded by this gust of wind, and it even affected the view. It's life-consuming magic. Erza from the rear rushed in from the outside, holding a sharp sword in his hand and pointing at Arya. Why do you dare to take someone's life so easily, you bastards? Dieter was stunned, turning his head to Erza reluctantly. What is this for? Is it going to rob people? I didn't expect that the Fairy Queen would also let me die, so you can enjoy it, Arya said. However, Erza rushed towards Arya angrily. I want to see if you can hold the airspace, Arya said. The space is more solid throughout the airspace. Clank. Erza slashed the seemingly solid space with a sharp blade. How is that possible? It cut off the airspace, Arya exclaimed. But Erza won't give him any chance, jumping high and changing clothes at the same time. Sky wheel boom, dazzling sword. Erza put on his armor, swooped down from the air, and slashed towards Arya with the sword in his hand. Breaking through the layers of space successfully hit. Arya is knocked down. The battle is over. Dieter was distracted, thinking, who am I? Where am I? And what am I going to do? Take a deep breath. Looking at Erza who was grabbing the head, he didn't know what to do. Why are you here? Dieter asked, taking a deep breath. Erza said, I don't trust you to come here. Jose is a magician of the Holy Ten with our president, so we can't take it lightly. Dieter yawned and didn't answer, looking at the entrance to this place and waiting for the arrival of others. Erza, Dieter. Are you all right? At the entrance were Gray, Natsu, Elfman, and Mirajane. It looked like, you've got your opponent down, Dieter said. His eyes finally stopped on Natsu's body, and after a while, he said, Natsu, Gajeel should be the room above our head. He still has serious injuries, so I will give you. Natsu agreed and went out and rushed upstairs. The remaining few people are concerned about the current war situation. At the moment, only Gajeel and Jose are left. The former is good for Natsu, but Jose is very difficult to deal with, Erza said. Several people's eyes turned to Dieter. To say who can fight Jose, I'm afraid it's only him, and no one knows how strong Dieter is. Never saw him fighting with all his might. Suddenly, before Dieter could speak, everyone present felt a chilling aura. Gray exclaimed. What's going on? It's, Mirajane's eyes widen. Erza gritted his teeth, the breath of death. What is this feeling? Gray clenched his fists. Elfman's voice trembled as he said, a dignified man can get chills. There's an evil vibe in the sight reading, Mirajane said. Dieter took a deep breath and closed his eyes to feel the infiltrating breath, and he fell to the ground in admiration. It is indeed the Holy Ten. This breath alone might be enough to make people below S-rank mages lose their fighting spirit. The cold that penetrates the bones is really different. Clap clap clap. Applause sounded in front of several people, and Jose's figure appeared. Yeah, I didn't expect you to be so sharp, fairy tale wizards, to be honest, I really didn't expect you to have the ability to entertain everyone for so long. Not only did it destroy Jupiter and knock down the 4 elements, but also the super magic giant we made didn't even have a chance to appear. Jose just stood there quietly. But the naked eye is enough to see the magic power of the cold and evil energy that belongs to him. Its intensity far exceeds all the enemies that have appeared so far, and the chilly aura makes several people shudder. President Jose. This guy is the president of the Phantom Lord? How can there be such an evil magic? Just facing him makes people nauseated. Few people dare to move. Looking at that, Jose only had the urge to flee here quickly. Okay. I have to repay you for entertaining everyone for so long, Jose said. Arms raised and ready to attack. Clap clap clap. Dieter, who had been watching at this time, also applauded earnestly and stepped forward to confront Jose. Jose, your speech is much more handsome than I thought, but it doesn't matter what the reward is, I'm here to play with you. Play. Dieter, don't be impulsive. Be careful, brother Dieter, this Jose is very dangerous. Dieter, we can join forces. Several people hurriedly persuaded them, and they didn't dare to let Dieter fight Jose alone. They all knew the horror of President Jose. Even if you have a lot of confidence in Dieter, this is not the time to be brave, you can't let him fight everything alone. I remember you, kid, the kid who seriously injured Gajeel in the Four Elements, and beat the magic beam cannon, President Jose said. Dieter replied with a smile, that's really an honor for me. Sniff. As soon as the voice fell, he rushed out and closed the distance with Jose to fight. President Jose shook his body to dodge unhurriedly, and easily avoided Dieter's series of moves. Are you underestimating me, kid? Jose said. Raised his arm, grabbed Dieter and threw it out, again aiming at Dieter who was circling in the air. Dark combo. The 5 fingers of the open palm are wrapped in dark magic. Aiming at Dieter in the air, he quickly shot. Cut. Dieter was still in the Navy 6, flashing down from the sky. The 5 attacks of the dark combo missed the target, but they blasted 5 holes through the wall. Dark burst. Jose's palm was aimed at Dieter in front of him, a dark magic circle appeared, and the magic power was shot out like bullets. Do not. Dieter isn't going to fight Jose's moves. Seeing that he made another move, he immediately used the Navy 6 form to flicker in the room, looking for good opportunities. Funny kid, how long can you hide? Jose replied with a smile. What? Dieter came to Jose's eyes in a hurry. Finger gun ban. The 2 fingers fired a series of attacks and swept towards Jose in front of him. This attack was fast and powerful. Even Jose didn't have time to react. Can only withstand the series of attacks from Dieter. Attack Lu. Hit. But it did not bring satisfactory results. Those attacks did hit Jose's body, but they couldn't even break through the latter's defense. The attack power is still too weak. Penetration isn't enough for Jose to defend. Invalid. This result is indeed within the scope of Dieter's acceptance, and it is also the existence of holy soil. It was impossible for him to break the defense with this tentative attack. If you can, it will be too lost the identity of the Holy 10. Seeing that the attack was ineffective, Dieter immediately used to peel away Jose, and looked in front of Erza and the others. It's useless. Brother Dieter's attack power is still too weak. How can this guy be so strong? How should he fight? Even his unique moves are useless. The ghost of damn it. No, we must leave here, or we will lose miserably. Several people spoke up. The collision just now also made them understand that there is no way to defeat Jose by these few people alone, not even the slightest power. When the strength reaches a certain level, the quantity is useless. Little devil, is your strength like this? It really disappoints me, Jose sneered. There is still some pain in the place where the body was attacked just now. Although he wasn't injured, he still felt some pain. It looks like it's really hard to beat you. Dieter sighed. Originally, I thought of properly draining Jose's magic power. However, in the series of duels just now, there is no hope at all. I am afraid that Jose will be consumed before he consumes much magic power. Only to be hard. Dieter raised his arm in front of him, covered in armor. Then he opened his mouth and bit his arm, taking a deep breath and blowing inward. The arm was blown bigger and bigger. At the same time, his shirt was also exploded, with strange lines all over his hands and in front of him. This is. How did Dieter's body suddenly look like this? Hey, what exactly is Brother Dieter's magic? I don't remember the ability of gigantic magic. New abilities. A few people behind them said that they were curious about the strange lines all over the unique body. Like never seen before, it is also very different from the giant magic. How is this possible, unless it's some new magic? Boom. Boom. Dieter's body swelled, his arms flushed and his body bounced up again after hitting the ground. Standing black hair. There was white gas around him. What? Are you like a ball? Haha, you can't even stand. Jose laughed. Dieter stared at him coldly. 4th gear elastic man. Boom. Dieter's body sank, his feet on the ground immediately compressed and ejected. Whoa. In that instant, the ground being stepped on was broken open by the force, and the ground on this layer was cracked with hideous cracks. The place where Dieter was standing was blasted open by the force. Erza and the others looked at the ground in horror. This elastic man is too strong, just the force of rushing out will shatter the ground. Erza is shocked. The mind blankly looked at the broken hole and couldn't let go. The strange figure of Dieter came to mind, lingering. It looks weird. That the strength and destructive power seem to have been greatly improved. Could it be that this is Dieter's strongest posture? It's amazing. Dieter's strength has been multiplied by his appearance, but just rushing out and breaking the ground, doesn't that mean that his destructive power will be stronger? Gray was surprised too. Dieter's strength is super strong, even they have to admit this fact. But at this moment, the power he displayed was extraordinary. Even if the destructive power of rushing out is so strong, if you do your best, isn't it? We still have hope, Mirajane exclaimed. His eyes sparkled as Dieter rushed out waiting for his good news. Elfman also has to admire. Several people's eyes were locked on Dieter, waiting for him to show his great strength. Wait for that Jose to be kicked out. Boring, trick. Jose raised his palm and aimed it at Dieter, who was rushing over. A dark black magic circle appeared in front of him, and the dark pattern revealed a strange aura. Dark spiral. The dark magic was turned into a spiral, released from the magic circle, and attacked Dieter. That dark magic has an evil aura that can devour people's lives. It was like a tiger released from its cage, desperate to eat, and the target was Dieter in front of him. Rubber Ape King Gun. Dieter's body deformed, and his feet contracted to use the principle of springs to push his body forward. The right fist is also deformed. The fist wrapped in the black armed color is compressed layer by layer. Successfully clenched the fist. The impact of the legs was stronger, and the body rushed into the dark spiral full of evil aura, bearing the powerful impact and advancing desperately. Boom. With the strength of his feet, Dieter successfully carried the dark spiral to Jose's eyes. How can it be? Jose was overwhelmed when he saw Dieter, who was able to rush over with a hard attack. Never thought it would be possible to do this. You're nothing more than that. Dieter's compressed fist strikes instantly, slamming into Jose like a razor, hitting him in the head with a gust of punch. Boom. Boom. The power is venting frantically, and the owner of the violent 4th level Ape King Gun has the momentum of destroying the sky and destroying the earth. Jose is worthy of being the Holy 10 sorcerer. After seeing Dieter's hard anti-dark spiral rushing in front of him, he immediately reacted with his arms in front of him with just a slight gaffe in less than a second. The Ape King spear that was ejected in the arms sturdily touched together. The force that followed the trend from that fist impacted both arms, knocking Jose out in an instant. His feet rubbed together, sending out bursts of thick smoke and 2 ravines, hitting the wall with a bang. The wall was overwhelmed and was immediately smashed into the human-shaped deep pit, and a hideous crack also extended around the deep pit. Along the human-shaped deep pit, the rhizome cracks spread around. The power of this punch is far more than that. With the appearance of the deep pit, the entire guild station trembled, and some rubble inevitably fell on the ceiling. So strong. Erza looked at Dieter in shock. How powerful the punch was. Directly beat Jose out. Brother Dieter is amazing. Elfman was equally astonished and didn't know how to describe it in words. That mighty strength is terrifying to such an extent. Dieter's form is too scary. Gray gritted his teeth too. The tight fist indicated that his heart was not so calm at the moment. Impressive. Mirajane admired it even more. Jose was so powerful that he was still knocked out by Dieter. Does that mean they still have hope? Boom. Boom. Dieter in Elastic Man state bounced in place, looking at Jose, who was embedded in the wall, with a solemn expression. That Jose looked very embarrassed, but he didn't see any injuries from his body. This is not good news. Ah, ha ha ha, Jose, who was embedded in the wall, laughed and laughed wildly. Boom. The evil magic within the body erupted instantly, and the entire wall was shattered in an instant. The gravel was thrown out. The small stones on the ground were shaken by the huge magic power, and Jose looked even more terrifying at the moment. Funny, boy, you managed to please me, gaw. Jose grinned grimly, moved in front of Dieter in an instant, raised his foot and kicked him in the abdomen. Rubber, really? Break it. Dark magic wrapped around his feet, forming a sword-like shape ready to pierce Dieter's body. Jose's toes and Dieter's abdomen touched, and the moment the two met, the wind whistled, and the gusts of wind blew the stones on the ground and the people behind them to cover their faces. It's useless. Dieter wasn't afraid at all. Armor color covers the abdomen, adding more powerful defense. The sharp sword formed by the dark magic stabbed in the abdomen, but it did not penetrate completely, and was blocked by the black armed color. Ghost arrow. Jose was a little different about not being able to pierce Dieter's body. But in time, he raised his palm to aim at Dieter's head at close range, and released a black magic circle, releasing ghostly arrows from the magic circle. Now the possibility of wanting to avoid at close distances is also very small. Simply Dieter once again used the armed color to resist these magical attacks. Ding ding ding. The ghostly arrow stabbed Dieter's body, making a ding sound, but this attack still did not cause any damage to Dieter. Dieter hangs again. Shrinks his right fist, trying to release his power again. Then Jose moved instantly and replied with a smile. Little devil, your power is indeed very powerful, but haven't you found its weakness? Jose, who teleported to midair, looked down at Unique. Indifferent explanation. That's speed. As long as my speed is fast enough, then it's impossible for you to hit me with this move. Erza and the others behind them also woke up immediately. Yes. Dieter's move is very powerful, and seeing Jose's reaction also shows that even as a holy 10, he doesn't want to be hit by that kind of attack multiple times. But the power is very powerful, which is true. But only if you hit someone, and Jose clearly saw that Dieter would take a lot of time to prepare for this move. Naturally, it is possible to use teleportation to leave the targeted place at the moment of the move. What the hell is Dieter doing? Erza looked at Dieter as if he hadn't heard anything, and felt strange as he continued to compress his arms. Use it even if you know the defect. There are only two possibilities. One is that there are other backers to help, but is it possible? Dieter in this elastic state is already very unexpected, how could he still fight back? Then there is another possibility. That is poor skill. Being able to develop such a state of elasticity in that powerful move is already very powerful, and it is impossible to expect him to continue to show stronger strength. Erza regretted. After all, do you still have to lose? It's a pity that their desperate efforts failed to protect the guild in the end. Rubber Orochi fist. Gah. This time Dieter didn't speed up and rushed to Jose to use the move. Instead, just stand there and make a move. It seems to be an expression of powerless resistance. Ah, your moves can't hit me at all, Jose sneered. The body instantly moved to the ground in front of him. Successfully avoided Dieter's move, and was just about to continue laughing. Suddenly Dieter was smiling. He seemed to have expected this move long ago. Look immediately. Just as everyone was talking about the difference, the ejected fist turned back in the air and chased Jose. Do not. Jose found out too late. When the problem was detected, the fist was close at hand. Boom. Once again, I was hit by that fist because of negligence. Hit Jose's body out again. After this hit, the wall could no longer be supported, and was directly shattered by this attack. Jose's body also came out in midair. There was also a trace of blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, indicating that he was also injured at this time. It's even possible to turn. What kind of magic is this? Gray was mad. It was only at this moment that he realized that Dieter never seemed to admit to using giant magic, whether it was the current change or the black skin covering his body was weird. The arm would even bend. No matter how much he persuaded himself, it was impossible to admit that this change was also a form of gigantic magic. Boom. Dieter squeezed his feet together, and instantly rushed out into the air to fight with Jose. For a while, the companions who were fighting with the soldiers outside looked towards this side. Is that Jose? But the other one looks familiar. That should be Dieter, it's just that there's something wrong with him right now, but if there's going to be a bout with Jose, it's probably just Jose. He is really getting stronger and stronger, and he can fight against the Holy 10 mage like Jose. So amazing. The companions in the guild were amazed. Looking at the voices of the two fighting in the air, they fell to the ground in admiration. Can't wait to cheer Dieter on right away. Looking at the sky one by one, they were also full of passion. The stronger Dieter was, the better for them. Now they just need to pin their hopes on Dieter. At this moment, the Ghost Guild resides on a certain floor. Natsu and Gajeel entered into a brief truce, both looking up into the air. It's Dieter, too powerful, and I'm on fire. Natsu gasped in amazement. That was the Holy 10 sorcerer, a strong man of the same level as the old man, but was stopped by Dieter at the moment, and it seemed that he still had the upper hand in the battle. So amazing. And Gajeel, who opposes Natsu, also gritted his teeth. How could that guy be so strong, to be able to play like this with the president? Gajeel said. Looking down at the bandages on his body also hurts. These injuries were all caused by Dieter, and compared to Dieter in the air at this time, he was really merciful when fighting. Air. Dieter kept moving through the air using his feet as a force. Close to Jose all the time, pulling him to melee, not letting him have any chance to release magic. You brat. Jose became more and more shocked. I thought it was just an unsubstantiated little devil, whoever thought that he could haunt himself alive, and he couldn't even leave him. That fist to meat melee really annoyed him. Every time the power on the fist is very powerful, hard resistance will be unbearable, but evasion is also not enough. Every time after dodging, the strange move will turn and continue to attack. Can't escape at all. Rubber, Great Ape King Gun. Dieter compresses his fists, and when the compression reaches the point, he bites his fingers again to add air to the muscles, strengthening the power released by his arms. Damn it. Jose's mind exploded. He roared angrily when he saw his fist, which had grown several times larger. Wrapping the dark magic in the fist and slamming Dieter, it is about to shatter the unique arm. Hum. Boom boom boom. The fists slammed together. The strong wind that was brought up at that moment blew the seawater into layers of waves. The clouds above the sky were torn to pieces. At the intersection where the two fists collided, a thunderstorm erupted, and the sound resounded through the sea like thunder. Dieter above. Overwhelm Jose with top-down power. Throwing a fist out. Then Jose himself was at a disadvantage, and then being poured out by this force stronger than him, he was instantly knocked away. From the air, he blasted towards the Ghost Guild station. Boom. Huge mobile islands are shaking. The power of this blow is much stronger than the previous one, smashing through several layers of buildings on the island. Vomit. Jose spat out a mouthful of blood when he fell to the ground. If the previous attack only slightly injured him, then the power of this time has broken his internal organs, and the entire body embedded in the ground is dirty and embarrassed. Damn it. Jose roared, and the magic in his body was vented frantically. The sea was splashing with waves, and even Magnolia shook violently. On the guild station on the island, the walls and buildings were overwhelmed, and the cracks spread faster to an outrageous degree. Lots of rubble fell. The entire guild building was in disarray. Dieter in the air outside was frowning in love, and it was troublesome to see Jose being rubbed into the ground. As expected of the Holy Ten, he is indeed rough-skinned and thick-skinned, and this level of attack alone is not enough to defeat him. Dieter muttered. Fourth gear is powerful. The Elastic Man is indeed very strong, and its attack power can suppress Jose's strength. But only suppression. The possibility of wanting to defeat Jose through this kind of power is also very small. The main reason is that the magician of the Holy Ten is very powerful, and it is impossible to drag such a person to death. Plus Dieter's fourth gear is coming to an end. The rubber fruit has only been added to level 5, and the 3-color frost is only level 1, so there is a time limit for the change of the fourth gear. Although it can become a Snake Man state, but that state has no advantage in defeating Jose, it seems that it is time to give up and fight again. Dieter's feet pumped again. He rushed into the building from the air and came back to Erza and the others. Looking at Jose, who was standing up slowly in front, his face was also very solemn. Another move should make Jose's injury more serious, but that's all. Suddenly, a soft light shone. Wrapping his body warmly, Dieter also breathed a sigh of relief and gave up the current fourth gear state. Erza and the others also turned to look over. President Makarov's figure fell silently from the sky, standing at a high place with his eyes closed. So much blood has been shed, children's blood, and a lot of tears because of useless fathers who made them suffer, Makarov said. Erza and the others all had smiles on their faces. Even Dieter breathed a sigh of relief. We are all the same, it's time to stop and get things done, Makarov said. Jose, who stood up opposite, also leaked a smile. He raised his arms and smiled and replied, "Do you want to make the world change color?" Makarov was also not to be outdone, and the golden light of his fingertips also emerged. The magic power in the bodies of the two Holy Ten wizards is rampantly increasing. Just the release of magic power has the potential to open up the world, and the earth is constantly shaking. Everything around is timid, as long as it's all for the good of the guild. The battle is imminent. Dieter called Erza and the others back immediately. The battle between the 10 saints is not to be underestimated, and it is easy to be affected. It is better to retreat as soon as possible to be safe. Dieter, you did a good job, just leave it to me, you guys get out of here, Makarov ordered. Dieter took Erza and Mirajane without a word and jumped out of the window, and Elfman and Grey let them jump off by themselves. This wasn't the time for them to intervene. Since you're all here, I'll let that kid named Dieter go for the time being. He hurt me so badly, he definitely doesn't want to live. Jose smiled grimly. In the wave of his hand, the dark magic power attacked Makarov. Boom. A magic circle appeared in front of Makarov, and the divine light dispelled the darkness. Jose said, "We haven't met face to face for 6 years. I didn't expect Fairy Tail to grow into such a large guild in just a short period of time. And that kid named Dieter, whose strength is willing to stay in fairy tale, really makes people wonder what charm you have. Makarov retorted. The bond between the members of the guild is not strength, but the harmonious coexistence of people. Your guild only focuses on strength, so you can't be the opponent of fairy tale's children at all. Without answering this, Jose continued, but I'm still very happy that we, who are also the top 10 wizards of the Holy Spirit, can directly compete against each other. Boom boom. The magic of the two seems to be bottomless. Crazy catharsis, so that the whole ocean is timid. Lightning flashes in the sky. Dark clouds swirled in the sky, and lightning flashed like a picture of the end of the world. The huge mobile island was surrounded by boiling seawater, and the waves were dozens of meters high. The presidents of the two guilds began to fight. And Dieter took Erza and Mirajane back to shore, turning to look at the terrifying waves and sky on the sea due to the fighting. Boom boom boom. You have such a powerful magic power at such a young age. No wonder you can win the title of the top 10. If you know how to use this magic power correctly and become a good example for the younger generation, it should be more helpful to the development of the magic world. Benefit, Makarov said. Jose sneered, are you preaching to me? However, Makarov instructed. Listen carefully, according to the rules of the fairy tale trial. I count to 3, give you time to think carefully, and kneel down and beg for mercy. Jose looked weird. It seems to be different, and it seems to feel incredible. Jose said. I thought you were going to say something terrible, but you dared to ask me to kneel. Makarov opened his hands. 2. Slowly approaching the palm of his hand, there is a golden sacred light brewing in the middle of the palm. The dark magic power in Jose's hands also showed, you actually want the #1 guild in the country to submit to you. Don't be kidding. My strength is comparable to yours. No, when it comes to the ruthless part, I am much stronger than you. 3. The people who will kneel should be you. Disappear, disappear into ashes and disappear from history, fairy tale. Makarov's tone was decisive. This is the end. Dark magic and divine light are both unleashed. I saw that the dark magic was dissolved under the light. The fairy law acts on. Divine light blooms. A huge golden magic circle appeared above the sky, covering the entire island. Moment. Everyone who was stabbed by the light closed their eyes. The entire sky was covered with golden rays of light, and everyone had to be blocked, so it was impossible to see a shred of it under the rays of light. What's the matter? What light is this? It's so dazzling. Under the shroud of light, those ghost soldiers who fought with their guild companions could not survive under the light. Forced to be ablated. You soldiers, only the soldiers disappeared one by one. We've got nothing at all. This is soft light. Everyone in the guild was taken aback. What is this? Both Gray and Elfman were curious. Dieter was half fascinated by the light of the blazing sun, and said with emotion, this is the law of the fairies, use the divine light to repel the darkness, and only repel those who are identified as the enemy by the magician. Erza affirmed. Ah, this is magic that has become one of the legends, it is super magic. The light disappears. Makarov's figure appeared on the tattered island. We won, we have defeated the ghost. All the guildmates celebrated with laughter. With the happiest smiles on their faces, they embraced warmly with their companions. Makarov spoke to his guild companions. This victory is not due to me alone, this is the victory of the family. Dieter sighed. Sure enough, it's not a cover, the strength of the old man is really outrageous. In front of the broken guild station. Because the Battle of the Saints was too strong, the Fairy Tale Guild, which was in danger of itself, was completely shattered by the shock, and everyone stood in front of them with heavy hearts. It was really badly damaged, Makarov said. Later, Lucy also stepped forward and apologized. I'm sorry, President, it's all because. Lucy. Makarov interrupts Lucy later. He said, whether it is happiness or sadness, although I dare not say it is all, but at least it can be shared to a certain extent, this is the guild. One person's happiness is everyone's happiness, one person's anger is everyone's anger, and one person's tears are everyone's tears, and there is absolutely no need for you to feel guilty for this. Lucy. You should be able to deeply understand everyone's feelings. Raise your head, don't forget that you are part of fairy tale. On a rock not far away. Dieter put his legs on his legs and watched his companions analyze the battle with Jose. Elemental magic attacks are still lacking. It would be great if there was a natural devil fruit ability. Dieter muttered. So far. Whether it is the Navy 6th form or the rubber fruit ability, it is a melee physical attack. Powerful, that's right. But the long-range attack is still very lacking. Especially the elemental magic is a disadvantage. I only hope that when the rubber fruit ability reaches the full level, the 3-color domineering will open the natural devil fruit ability in the next stage. Hey. There is a long way to go. Dieter looked up at the dusk sky with emotion. It's been a week since the war with the ghosts. Due to the destruction of the guild, all members entered the task of building a house. Ah! Natsu sprinted carrying a stack of planks. Taste throat. He fell to the ground in disobedience, and a large amount of wood was scattered on the ground, hitting him heavily. Who told you to be careless and hit so many idiots at once? Gray wobbled past with a piece of wood on his back. Who are you calling an idiot? Natsu angrily threw the wood off his body and pointed at Gray to retort. Do you want to beg for a fight? Why are you being lazy and beating one by one? The two of them were about to fight, and neither of them wanted to let anyone else, so they could not wait to have a big fight. You two. A plank fell from the top of the head and the two were smashed into the ground. Erza reprimanded. Hurry up and don't talk about it, just finish the construction of the guild as soon as possible. Ah. Erza is really motivated. Has that work clothes also changed? Speaking of Erza, I still envy Dieter, why doesn't he have to work? Said the rest of the guild. Allah. Why didn't you see Dieter? Mirajane greeted. Erza looked at Mirajane with a wooden plank and sighed, and said helplessly. Dieter was fishing, he said he was injured in a fight with Jose, and got sick that he couldn't work. What? It's obvious that I'm just lazy and don't want to work. Yes, why doesn't he have to work? Natsu and Gray whispered. Suddenly feeling a sharp gaze, he immediately started to work with the plank on his back, for fear of being reprimanded by Erza again. I said, won't this be too big? Macau also curiously analyzed the guild that was being rebuilt. It's a rare opportunity, so we need to remodel directly. Look, this is the plan completion plan. Mirajane said with a piece of paper. Macau and others walked over to check the painting on Mirajane's hand. It's hard to comment. I really don't understand it. This picture is really bad. Which idiot drew it? Several people are reviewers. Mirajane kept a smile on her face, just that smile. Woohoo, but the next second, he turned around and covered his face and cried. What? Mila drew it. Gray panicked. Natsu said in unison, it made her cry. Gray, have you ever prepared a cemetery for yourself? If Dieter finds out that you don't even have the chance to prepare it. Happy, replied with a smile. Warm, even the bones are broken for Gray. This is Dieter. The guild is being rebuilt here, and a new temporary rest area will be built on the open space next to it. Everyone, we are accepting job applications again today, although it's a temporary counter, let's work hard. After lunch break, Mirajane began to greet people to delegate tasks. The members of the guild rushed towards the commission column with their hands raised up enthusiastically, intending to do their part. It's really positive. In the past, everyone was obviously lazy and didn't work at all. Lucy felt strange. Soon he was busy asking, by the way, why didn't you see Loki? Mirajane jokingly said, ah, it looks like Lucy has finally been conquered by Loki's claws. That's not the case. Lucy retorted and muttered again. I just want to thank him for getting me back the key, and besides, Miss Mira was conquered by Brother Dieter sooner. Mirajane replied with a smile. Haha, does Lucy also want to try to be conquered by Dieter? Do you want me to call him over for you? He has a great kiss. Lucy rolled his eyes and refused. Just as I was about to say something, I heard someone smashing something from behind. Tell me again and try it. There. Erza stood looking at the angry Lagoses in front of him. I'll take this opportunity to make it clear, this guild doesn't need weak guys, Lagoses said disdainfully. He turned his head to look at the two jade in his hands. It's really worthless. I've been completely underestimated by the ghosts. It should be said that I don't know your names at all. Lagoses looked at Lucy with disdain. And you, the culprit, can only use the daughter of celestial spirit, it's all because of your relationship. Lagoses. Mirajane reprimanded without waiting for Lagoses to finish speaking. It's all over, it's not anyone's relationship, it wasn't anyone's fault from the beginning, and there was no point in not participating in the war from beginning to end. Qualified to criticize. Lagoses sneered. Of course the author has nothing to do with me at all, but if I was there, it wouldn't be so ugly. Damn it guy. Erza exasperated. Natsu threw his fist at Lagoses, shut me up. Zizi. Lagoses turned into a thunderbolt to defeat Natsu's attack and appeared behind Natsu. Lagoses, there's a way to compete with me, you ruthless bastard. Natsu shouted. Ha ha ha, Lagoses laughed and sneered. You can't touch me at all, how can you compete? After I inherit the guild, I will eradicate all the weak guys and those who dare to resist me. I can't escape, I want to create the strongest guild. This slip, at this time, Dieter, who was out fishing, was sitting at the table drinking a cup of tea. He looked at Lagoses and asked, Lagoses, what are you going to create? Do you want to report to your elder brother? Dieter. Brother Dieter, here you come. Dieter hastened to take care of Lagoses and was talking nonsense here again. Several people called immediately. Lagoses also looked at Dieter with hatred, but he dared to repeat what he just said. Dieter got up and walked towards Lagoses. Snapped when he came to Lagoses, he slapped him without saying a word. Tell me what you just said again. Dieter scolded Lagoses. Zizi? Rule Zizi? Dieter. You're courting death. Shame. Just a shame. The slap on the face was painful, Lags's eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth to squeeze out a few words. Most of the people in the guild were silent. Lucy looked at Dieter a little differently, and even dared to slap Lagoses. This. Dieter poked Lagoses in the body and said, "Remember what I told you 5 years ago?" Lagoses had blue veins on his hands. As long as you're still in fairy tale, as long as I'm still alive, put away your arrogant character in front of me. You have to remember that 5 years ago I played the entire guild and became your big brother, before you defeated me. The dragon is coiling for me, and the tiger is lying for me. Dieter taught Lagoses a lesson. The current Lagoses is very unpleasant, and Dieter hates the current him. Arrogant. All day long, he looks like the boss of the sky and his second child. I don't know what a partner is and what a family is. You. Lagoses was angry and wanted to fight back, but after meeting Dieter's stern eyes, he swallowed the following words. If you want me to recognize you, and if you want me to regret what happened today, show your strength, not your power. Dieter continued. Pointing at the wounded members of the guild. Teaching. As the grandson of the old man and the future heir to fairy tale, you are very proud of watching your guild members being bullied, and what you say has nothing to do with you. This is your attitude towards your own people? Lagoses was angry, but he still couldn't say anything. He could only grit his teeth and hate what Dieter said at this moment. Give him a chance to teach him a lesson. Remember that slap just now. If you feel humiliated, then you will remember it for the rest of your life. I am waiting for you to hit me at fairy tale. Go back and think about what a companion is. Dieter expelled. Lagoses turned and left with a gloomy face. Second. Silent. The fact that the Lagosians leave silently makes many newcomers who have joined the guild in the past 5 years feel incredible. In their eyes, Lagoses has always been a very arrogant and powerful person. That makes sense. As a result, such a person would not dare to fart in front of Dieter. Dieter, you will make Lagoses hate you like this. Erza sighed. From the point of view of the eldest brother, Dieter is undoubtedly the most qualified, and the help he has given to guild members is unparalleled. But in the eyes of the self-respecting Lagoses, it was a bit too much. In the future, it is impossible to say that the two will turn against each other. Dieter waved his hand indifferently. Lagoses has a mental problem and needs someone to hold him down. In the guild, I am the only one at home who can hold him down. Slaps are indeed too much, but I would rather turn against him than see it. He did things that hurt his fellows because of his arrogance. The guild members did not answer. In fact, many people are also very disgusted with Lagoses at this time, and no one is arrogant. If Lagoses really wants to take over the guild in the future, he may leave fairy tale. Okay. Let's not talk about these things. Speaking of which, should Mila and Erza find a time to go on vacation on 277? Dieter asked. Erza and Mirajane looked at each other and shook their heads. I can't leave. The guild still needs me in charge of the mission. You and Erza can go play. Mirajane refused with a smile. Erza also didn't agree. The guild is now in a state of ruin, and as a guild S-rank mage, you can't give up your job because of your own selfish desires. Let's talk about it after a while. After hearing that both of them refused, Dieter did not persuade him anymore, and continued his fishing trip with a fishing rod. Night. Makarov walked to Dieter's side and sat down, holding a jug of wine in his hand, staring at the floats on the sea in a daze. The old man has something on your mind? Dieter asked. Makarov sighed. Dieter, how about I hand the guild to you? Duh. Dieter was stunned and looked at Makarov in disbelief. I'm old, and I can't be the president forever. I should also consider the next generation, Makarov said. He seems to find an audience to talk to and tell his thoughts at this time. Lags's strength and identity are sufficient, but that guy has mental problems, so the guild definitely can't hand it over to him. Mistogen can't even communicate with people normally, and he's not qualified as a guild leader. Only you and Erza are stable enough and also have prestige in the guild, but Erza often goes out to trouble with Grey Natsu and the others, and they are not the best personnel. Although you are lazy to do tasks, you are someone who knows the general situation, and it is most suitable for you. Dieter listened quietly. He did not expect that the next president Makarov was considering was him. In fact, he never felt that he could serve as the chairman, because he was used to being lazy, and being the chairman just gave him more reasons to fish. But Dieter knew that Makarov would definitely keep going, and that he just needed an excuse. Haha. What's the use of telling me this, old man? I don't want to be the president. I just want to fish every day. Even if you want to retire, everyone in the guild can't agree. Dieter said. Wow. Big Fish is here. There is supper in the evening, sir. Drink slowly, I will withdraw first. Dieter drew and ran away immediately. Makarov looked at Dieter, who was leaving, and shook his head helplessly. Strength and Xing are in line with each other, but this attitude will not work. Sandy beach. Sunlight. Beautiful girls with sexy body and their laughter. The resort paradise of Akane is also the most popular seaside tourist destination in the kingdom. Next to the vast amusement park, there are high-end hotels and charming beaches that cannot be resisted after a visit. For this kind of rhetoric, Dieter has always dismissed it as an exaggeration. But today I have to admit that this place is really beautiful. Wow, this girl is so big, if she looks better, she will definitely be a goddess. Hey, this sister is so punctual, it's a pity that there are no children by her side, otherwise she will definitely be that sow thief. Hey, Erza and Lucy are in great shape too, on a beach chair. With a glass of juice, Dieter looked at the holiday paradise where people came and went, and commented on those women with characteristics. Dieter, come and play, it's a rare time to relax and have fun. Erza came over and stretched out his hand to pull Dieter up and walked towards the beach. Dieter smirked. Erza, let's go deep diving, just the two of us, hee. Okay. Erza agreed. The two of them dived all the way to the empty deep sea. Dieter slowly approached Erza with a smirk. It's been a long time since this approaching time. Sunset time. On the balcony of the accommodation room, the red sun is just a good time to bask in the sun. Erza was lying on the recliner and dozing off. Next to him was Dieter leaning quietly, looking at Erza, who fell asleep with a smile through the sunset. She was like a sleeping beauty at the moment, waiting for the prince to wake her up. Time passed by minute by minute. What? Breathe taste. Erza woke up from her sleep, panting in panic. Drink some water. Next to him, Dieter handed a glass of water in time. Erza's heart eased a bit, looking at Dieter and nodding with a smile. Having a nightmare? Dieter asked. Erza drank all the water in the glass and admitted, dreaming of the days when I was a child in Tower of Heaven. It's okay, no one can hurt you anymore with me, no matter who it is. Dieter reassured. Erza, standing up from the chair, changed back to the armor in front of the unique face. Actually, I prefer you to wear a swimsuit or maid-like clothes. Although the armor is very reassuring, it has a rigid feeling. Dieter regretted looking at Erza's heroic armor. Really? Erza hesitated. Let me get used to it, although I feel at ease with you, but the armor can't be taken off after wearing it for more than 10 years. Knock knock knock. There was a knock on the door outside. Lucy's voice followed closely. Miss Erza, Brother Dieter, do you want to go to the basement floor to see? Natsu and the others have already passed by and said they want to have a good time. I forgot there was such a place, Dieter, Erza suggested. Dieter agrees. Erza also walked out the door with Dieter after changing into an evening dress. Ding dong long dong. The sound of playground equipment echoes, and the whole underground is filled with laughter. The lively atmosphere also makes people smile unconsciously. It looks interesting. Erza and Dieter wandered underground together. Natsu and Gray and Lucy over there find their own fun projects to immerse themselves in. At the gaming table, Erza killed the people around the quartet in shock and praised him. The dealer changed hands. At this time, the dealer has been replaced. Erza is very proud. No matter who deals the cards now, I think I can win. Da. The dealer handed out the cards and said, in that case, do you want to play a special game? Erza looked at the card in front of him curiously. It says death. Just put your life on the line, Sister Erza. The dealer said. Erza looked up, this strange yet familiar face, and asked uncertainly, are you Hugh? Dieter next to him watched quietly. Shu Shang raised his hands. Long time no see, sister. Erza stammered, so you're fine. Boom. The gunshot sounded, accompanied by a dark environment, and Erza was shocked. Light is on. Hugh? Erza asked hastily. Zio's voice sounded from behind, I'm here, sister. One by one playing cards were dealt out in his hand, and there was a person in those cards, and those people were all tourists who originally played in the amusement park. This is magic. Hello. There was a cat meow, and Dieter, who had been watching, was bound and restrained. Oops, yeah. What if I'm arrested? Looking at the magic on his body, he was busy leaking a bad expression. Looking at the girl sitting next to her, she also revealed a warm smile. Wow, it's a cat, it must be very comfortable to purr. Miliana, Hugh, you all know magic. Erza felt incredible when looking at the two of them, Even the little friends before could even know magic. What the hell happened to them? Are they your buddies in Tower of Heaven? Dieter asked knowingly. Erza nodded, her body trembled a little, and asked quickly, why are you here? Soon several people came over. Hearing Erza's words, he felt incredible, and said without a doubt, of course it's to bring you back. Hurry up and release Dieter, Erza said. Then Wally turned his arm into a gun and pointed it at Dieter, if you don't cooperate well. Hey. Don't wait for Wally to finish. The bound Dieter sneered coldly. Boy. Do you know the consequences of pointing a gun at me? Come on, I'll go with you and spare Dieter. Erza begged for mercy. When he heard this, Dieter almost broke free from the things on his body and killed the people in front of him. Fortunately, hold back in time. He lowered his head with a smile on his lips. Jelal, we will meet soon. How do you feel when you see me? Must be beautiful. Ah. I look forward to meeting you. I want to go with you. Speaking of which, I have a grudge against your boss. Don't you want to give my life to him first? Dieter smiled at the group of people in front of him. Wally and the others looked at each other, nodding in agreement. It doesn't matter if he takes one, and there is no danger if there is restraint magic on him, Simon said. Wally agreed. Miliana, please tie this kid's hands so he can walk. Miliana complied. At this time, a magic circle appeared above the heads of several people. In an instant, the person was sent out and came to the sailboat on the sea. The cabin is Dieter and Erza's cage, but I didn't expect Happy to be captured and given to the little girl named Miliana. Tower of Heaven. Dieter murmured, tied to a stone pillar with Erza with his hands tied behind his back, as the boat swayed to his destination. I want to switch to armor. Erza's body trembled, and the thought of the ship's purpose made her heart palpitate even more. It's okay, I'm here, we can get out of here now if you want, Dieter said. Erza shook his head. This rope has the effect of restraining magic, and there is no way to break free. Dieter didn't respond after hearing this. It is absolutely impossible for him to say that it is useless to him, and neither the devil fruit ability nor the sixth naval form is released by magic. So this so-called rope that binds magic power is useless to him. Sister, we're going back to Tower of Heaven soon. Hugh came from outside. Standing in front of Erza was filled with excitement and anticipation. Actually, I don't want to do it either. Hugh said, but why did you betray us, sister, Jelal? The sound is a bit loud. Noisy Dieter had points of irritability, which was good considering he couldn't hit anyone until he got to Tower of Heaven. Silently watching this man named Hugh talk to Erza. The ship is still moving. Dieter, who was idle and bored, watched the sun rise. And the trapped Dieter and Erza had already come to the island. Watching the towering Tower of Heaven, Erza could not stop trembling. Here lies his nightmare. Come on, sister, Jelal has been waiting for a long time. Hugh leads the way. The others followed. Soon Dieter's face became very strange, and he was a little uncomfortable looking at the cell in front of him. Shouting to the person. Hey! Let Jelal come to see me, I ask you to arrest me to meet Jelal, not to be locked here. Wally's arms turned into guns without a word. The second time. Dieter's face turned cold, watching Wally repeat. Bring you here is also a funeral item, who allowed you to say so much? Wally said and pulled the trigger immediately. Boom. Gunshots. And the unique figure has come to Wally, and the bound fists do not know when they have broken free. Grasp your right hand tightly. Shoot me, you look tired, Dieter said. Boom. The right fist slammed out. In an instant, Wally was hit in the body and flew out and smashed against the wall. What? How can you break free from Miliana's restraining magic? Meow, Wally, several people immediately exclaimed. Some were ready to surround Dieter, while others rushed to Wally to help check the injury. Dieter, Erza also looked at Dieter in surprise. It turned out that what he said before was true. That thing really didn't stop him. Brown. Dieter moved his wrists to look at the people surrounding him, and said with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. It seems that I still give Jelal a face, and let him come to see me without coming, so I just sacrificed your blood today. Softer. Cards fly out. Shrouded towards Dieter, trying to trap him inside the card. Without a word, Dieter slammed the card with a backhand, and the card was shattered in an instant. Step forward. A hole was stepped out of the ground under his feet, and Dieter's right fist came to Hugh's eyes again. Then kill you first. Dieter said. Seeing that Nashu had no ability to resist, Erza immediately called, Dieter, don't kill them. Her words played a big role. Dieter also took back a lot of the power of the full punch. The fist landed on Shu's body. Cough. Hugh was hit hard. His chest collapsed suddenly, coughing up blood, and his body flew out with that Wally figured out. There was a deep shock in his eyes. I'm afraid he never thought that Dieter's power would be so powerful, and one punch would destroy one person. And Simon immediately reacted and used magic. But for Dieter, neither Wally nor Simon's speed was too slow to wait for him to use the magic. Dieter's hand grabbed Simon's throat. Simon's face flushed red. He kept slapping Dieter's arm to let him go, but Dieter's palm was clasping his neck like iron clamps. Meow, it's amazing. Miliana curled up against the wall where Wally was flying upside down, looking timidly unique. The strength displayed from beginning to end is too terrifying. Even if they watch together, there is no hope at all. Why would such a terrible person be brought here? Dieter. Erza looked at Simon, who was about to breathe, and spoke in a pleading tone. Ring. Dieter threw Simon out without saying a word, and walked to Erza to help her release the restraint ropes on her body. It's a good thing that you're kind, but sometimes you just need to be ruthless. Why should others bully us, and in the end have to suffer and forgive, not just you, but everyone in the entire fairy tale guild? Dieter was also reasoning with Erza as he untied the rope. The fairy tale guild is very good everywhere, even Dieter feels very happy in the guild. The only dissatisfaction is that it is too kind. It is simply outrageous to not dare to kill people, and I hope that I can take this opportunity to give a good lecture. Erza bowed his head and agreed after being released. Apparently he didn't take Dieter's words seriously. Dieter was speechless about this. You can handle these people yourself, I'll go find Jelal. Dieter said, seeing that Erza also seemed to want to follow, he immediately said, if you want to follow, then we'll kill these people and join us. Hearing this, Erza stopped being persistent and let Dieter go first. See you later. Dieter raised his eyebrows and left the cell here, and flew upwards, intending to find Jelal directly. Erza looked at the others warily. The top of the Tower of Heaven. Boom. Dieter smashed the wall with a punch and saw Jelal sitting inside. Jelal, is there anyone who takes care of me? The woman named Ultir. Dieter greeted. Jelal, who was sitting inside, was also a little surprised when he saw the uniqueness that came in. However, he quickly hid it, and sitting on the seat with Erlang's legs crossed was very bold. I didn't expect them to bring you here too. Jalal's face was not good looking. As a member of the Magic Council, he knew that Dieter had fought against Jose of the Holy 10 Sorcerers alone. Even he didn't dare to say that he could beat Jose. Bringing this trouble over is prone to accidents, at least no one who is available under his command will be his opponent. Of course, if you want to come here, you are going to kill my woman. How can you, as a man, act like you didn't see it? Dieter is also welcome. Step forward and directly bring a large rock to sit opposite Jelal. Your woman? Jalal's tone was a little heavy. Don't you know that when Erza left Tower of Heaven, I saved her life and joined Fairy Tale together? We have been together for many years, isn't it normal to like her? Dieter chuckled. Then Emai looked at Jelal playfully. Don't you think she still likes you? Jelal hang. The glass in his hand is squeezing. Although his expression looked calm, it was enough to prove that he was in a complicated mood at the moment. Law, that's right. Dieter said with a sudden realization, forgot, Scarlet was created by you. It's a very good surname. It's a pity that I always like to press her hair when I'm sleeping, and she said it many times. Woolen cloth. Flavor, monument. The glass in Jalal's hand still didn't hold onto it, and it was crushed into pieces. He could clearly hear his heavy breathing. Come on, let's cut down on the gossip, we'll see the truth directly. I need to kill you before Erza comes, or she'll be soft-hearted again, Dieter said. Standing up from the big rock, he stared at Jelal with awe. Don't worry, I'll let someone play with you first, Jelal said. A beautiful woman came out from behind, wearing a kimono and holding a long sword. Skull and Bones Special Guerrilla Unit 3 Crows, Captain Turtledove. She's really a beauty, Dieter said. My name is Turtledove, please advise. Da. The Turtledove looked at Dieter gracefully as she stepped on the tall wooden display. Then let me see what you can do. Jelal still sits high in the chair, looking unique with a high-flying tone. You suck. Dieter said. He raised his arm and swung it to the side, pumping it like a pump, making the blood flow in the body much faster. The body turned red and steamed. Late? Jelal analyzed. By accelerating the blood flow in the body in some way to achieve the effect of lifting. What kind of magic does this belong to? Jelal can see the slightest after seeing it with his own eyes. Know what just happened in Dieter's body? No moonflow. Turtledove did not dare to despise it, waving the blade to attack. Rubber jet pistol. Dieter shot air bombs with both hands so quickly that even Jelal couldn't see the movements of those arms. Also fill in a few more points for Dieter's evaluation. Clank pop after the collision sounded. The wall behind Dieter was slashed with knife marks. It is worth mentioning that Dieter was not injured at all. On the other hand, Turtledove's face was not very good looking. There were 2 holes in the sleeves, and even the position where she was standing was pushed back by a certain distance. Can't beat it. This is what the Turtledove thought. Even a tentative confrontation is powerless to him, and even the man in front of him can avoid the sword light of moonless swordsmanship, as if he can see the trajectory. I saw it. Dieter put on an innocent smile. Your sword is very fast, and it can even cut through space. If it was not long ago, I really couldn't help you, but unfortunately your moves are all within my perception range. Dieter recounted. Turtledove's strength is unquestionable, and even Erza, who can fight, has no power to fight back. It is also a rare formidable opponent. Before seeing the color, Dieter can really say that he didn't have to fight Turtledoves. Fortunately, the so-called swordsmanship is within perception. Coupled with the super fast speed, it can completely stop her elusive swordsmanship. Although I heard that I want to play with you, but time doesn't allow it. Dieter regrets. His eyes narrowed for a moment. He stirred up a burst of dust and disappeared in place, coming to the Turtledove when he wanted to. Armed color. The fist is covered with a hard armed color, and it strikes with a bang. You. The 2 fists hit the Turtledove's stomach alive. Vomit. Turtledove only felt a spasm in her intestines and stomach, and the feeling of vomiting hit, and the intensifying pain followed closely, which instantly made her feel like her stomach was exploding. The body was thrown out by a huge force. Boom. Hit the wall directly and shake off a lot of gravel from the wall. He slumped on the ground and pressed his stomach in pain. Has lost its combat effectiveness. Ah. Sign in to Tower of Heaven, reward 40 skill points. The words popped into Dieter's mind. The system that likes being late also reminds him to get skill points. 40 points go directly to the rubber fruit ability, Dieter murmured. The rubber fruit level is only level 5, so it is better to raise it to the full level as soon as possible and then add some domineering intentions. Add success. Rubber fruit comes to level 9. At the same time, Dieter also felt that his body seemed to break some kind of shackles, and his ability to use fruits was much better than in the pirate world. Take back your mind. Dieter no longer pays attention to the defeated Turtledove. He looked at Jelal and said, then your missing body is back. I only played 2 tricks with this girl just to wait for you. The indifferent smile on Jalal's face solidified. Looking at Dieter's eyes is very bad. In front of him I always feel that I have no secrets. I can guess so accurately at any time, and I can predict your next plan. This gave Jelal a headache, who always liked to be in control. No moon flow yaksha flash. At this time, Turtledove, who was temporarily out of combat, suddenly made a move to catch Dieter by surprise. Paper painting. Dieter didn't even look at it, and his body instantly flashed like a picture. Boom boom boom, the Turtledove's attack appeared. Her blades are all over the ground, overhead, and all around the walls. Several pillars were cut down precariously, but Dieter's body remained unscathed. How is it possible? I saw through it again. Didn't a sword light hit it? Turtledove was surprised. This was the first time I felt powerless. That kind of powerlessness that is useless, and that any gorgeous moves are ineffective. This is the first time the Turtledove has been encountered. Even if it is to deal with the S-rank magician, he is very confident in defeating him, but the boy in front of him escaped without any flaws. Powerless. Enriching her whole body and mind, she couldn't believe it, and she didn't want to believe it. I said your moves were ineffective in my presence, Dieter repeated. He is unwilling to attack this beauty, but sometimes there are always people who like to be self-sufficient. No moonflow. Turtledove put his hand on the hilt of the sword, flames bursting from under his feet, and his eyes were fixed on Dieter to make another move. Kalu Loyan. The flames that burned everything were shot, and that surging gesture was about to devour Dieter. That's not how flames work. Dieter shook his head. He clenched his right fist and slammed it behind him, instantly extending very long, and the next moment his arm was covered in armed color. Rubber fire fist. Flames covered his arms. The flame that will set everything on fire is no weaker than the raging fire of Ben. Hit it out. A fiery, burning fist was thrown. The move that penetrated the Turtledove, Garuda Loyan, hit the beautiful face of the Turtledove with one punch. There is absolutely no way to resist this blow. Her body was knocked flying in an instant, and she didn't stop hitting the wall. The powerful force broke her body in the wall. Bang. The gravel fell from the air, and the Turtledove's body was smashed into the sea, making it impossible for her to secretly attack. Boom. At the same time, Turtledove's move, Garuda Loyan, also exploded. The floor where Dieter and Jelal were confronting was also shattered by the successive attacks. The wall is broken. There are countless blades left or smashed through the wall, as well as black gravel burned by raging fire. Dieter jokingly looked at the floor that was about to collapse. It broke before it started, and the Tower of Heaven you built, Jelal, seems a little unsatisfactory, man. Ah. It wasn't Jelal who sneered this time. It was the Jelal missing body behind him, who also came back from the Senate at this moment. You're finally here, now we can start fighting, Dieter said. The two Jelal stood together, slowly merging with a smile, feeling the continuous power gushing out of their bodies. You should never have waited for me, now I am not afraid of you, Jelal said. Dieter, however, looked indifferent. Stop talking nonsense, let's get started. Dieter spoke of attacking Jelal with the Navy 6. This kind of, how can we fight when it's a good time? Let's witness the completion of Tower of Heaven together, Jelal laughed. The body keeps flickering. There is no confrontation with Dieter at all, even if he has the ability to fight Dieter now, he is not in a hurry. Dieter's eyes were keenly aware that a powerful attack was brewing above the Tower of Heaven. Magic spirit power. After Dieter's attack failed to hit Jelal, he immediately backed away to distance himself. Since things have come to this point, he is not in a hurry. Jelal. At this time, Erza also rushed up to destroy the enemy, roaring at Jelal and brandishing his weapon. Long time no see, Erza, that red hair really suits you. Jelal dodged the attack lightly. Is it your purpose to deceive Simon? They have believed in you all these years, but you have failed them and deceived them all the time. Erza was furious. The long knife in his hand is waving. He was about to split Jelal in half, and the speed of the blade was getting faster and faster, which also forced Jelal to find a trick. Erza, forgive me, my body has become Zaref's container. I can't control my body, I can only follow all his schemes and resurrect him. Jalal's expression was pained, and he poured out a hint of pity and sadness to Erza. After hearing this, Erza's attacking action really stopped slightly. But he still swung down the long knife in his hand and roared, if that's the case, then let me end your life. Clap clap. When Dieter heard this, he immediately applauded his satisfaction. He was really afraid that Erza would be tricked into following Jalal's nonsense. Now it seems that he has thought about it. Although Erza and Jelal have unforgettable childhoods, they still know what to do. It's amazing, I didn't expect to see you change so much in a few years. Jelal laughed. Rumbling, the Tower of Heaven began to vibrate violently, and the gravel on the top of the head fell, and the entire Tower of Heaven was in jeopardy. In the sky, a magic circle dedicated to magic spirit power appeared. Aim at the Tower of Heaven below to enter the countdown. It is about to fall, and the moment it falls, it also means that the R system is completed. The sea boils. The mighty magic wizard power was fully charged, and the brewing power caused the sea to cause waves. The atmosphere, the earth, and the sea are all timid about it. Boom. Magical spirit power released. Light obliteration Tower of Heaven. The tsunami hit and overturned the ships on the sea. The Tower of Heaven is broken and everything will be wiped out. However, when the attack was over, what appeared in front of everyone was a crystal clear magic crystal, which was dazzlingly erected on the plain. The Tower of Heaven was destroyed. It was replaced by a collection of powerful magic crystals. Ha ha ha. Jelal opened his arms and laughed loudly, looking at this huge collection of magic crystals, he couldn't hide his ecstasy. Finally, the long-awaited moment has finally arrived, Jelal said. Erza stepped back beside Dieter, looking at the magic crystals around her and being wary. She didn't know why it was like this after the magic power fell, but she definitely knew that it was Jalal's purpose. Jelal said, this is the true appearance of Tower of Heaven. It is a huge waste crystal. With the help of the magic wizard power of the council, the waste crystal finally succeeded in absorbing the huge magic power, and the R system is finally at this moment finished. Erza is angry. There was still a trace of soft-heartedness in her heart, and it disappeared at this moment. Layers of anger rose from the depths of my heart. Jelal. Erza roared with rage, and the attack reappeared in a frantic attack on Jelal. Second gear. Armed. Dieter didn't wait any longer and rushed into second gear, attacking Jelal with Erza. Celestial, magic meteor. Jelal accelerated his movements, making his body as fast as a shooting star. Move quickly in front of your eyes to avoid the attack. Interesting, it's rare that you two have a lover's intention, so let the two of you become sacrifices together. Jelal laughed. Without retreating, they attacked the two men. One punch and one kick, coupled with the huge magic, the power of his every blow is beyond imagination. Bang bang bang. The three fought together. Erza and Dieter teamed up to attack Jelal, which also made the latter's response more rushed. Several punches were thrown by Dieter. Once or twice was fine, but it made Jelal a little uncomfortable after several times. Snake of restraint. Jelal was hit in the chest again by Dieter. This time Jelal distanced himself from the two by the force of the shock. Use magic now. A strange snake rope appeared on Erza's body instantly. Ah! Erza's body was instantly restrained, and her strength could not be used, making her body unable to move. You bastard. Erza goes to struggle. But the restraint of the restraining snake is very strong. Even if you try your best to struggle, you can't break the thing. It's still a bit difficult for me to deal with the two of you alone, but I just have the magic power required to activate the R system, and then only need a living sacrifice. Zareth can be resurrected. First trap one and take it slow, Jelal said. Don't watch Erza go straight to Dieter. Ah, I can't wait. Dieter chuckled, combining armed and sensual and second gear madness with Jelal. Boom. Punch to the flesh and bang on the opponent's body. No fancy magic, let alone so-called conspiracy. The two attacked each other with pure physique, relying on strength, speed and skill to fight. The figures of the two of them are getting faster and faster. In the end, all that remains is whether the air is a sonic boom caused by a collision. Clap clap clap. The power is rising steadily, and no one admits defeat. Boom. After another collision, the two were separated by a distance. Twice. Jelal wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth and watched Dieter compliment. Many places on his body had been beaten with blue and purple patches, and the black substance covering Dieter's hands did not know what it was, and the hardness was terrifying. The punch hit his body and he shivered in pain. I felt that the fist was not a human fist, and although it didn't hurt the bones, it wasn't the kind of pain that ordinary people could endure. Brown. Doran. On the other hand, Dieter had a smile on his face and his clothes were messed up, but he didn't know how much better the situation was. The moving body also makes the sound of bones. After the sound, it was also very pleasant to the ear, and the whole person felt comfortable. That's it. Dieter said with a laugh. Your physical skills are much weaker than I thought. Simply using physical skills is enough to abuse you. If you go on like this, it will be meaningless. Yeah, it's time to end. Jelal reached out and shredded his jacket, revealing a close-fitting vest, and he was wearing black gloves on his hands. And at this moment, an amazing magic burst out from his body. Dieter didn't fight with strength. And what about Jelal? This will also release all the magic in the body, and the fragments of the magic crystal on the ground will be stirred and suspended around. Meteor. Jelal uses celestial magic again. The difference is that this time the magic power is much stronger, and the speed of the meteor is not weaker than Dieter's. Crunch. With a blue light on his body, he charged quickly with Jelal. A single blow knocked Dieter back. The bat collided with the wall of the magic crystal, cracked the wall of the magic crystal, and the small granular magic crystals were scattered all over the place. Celestial magic 6 stars. Jelal reached out and waved, pointing up with one hand, and 6 magical stars appeared in the sky, attacking with unique power. Boom boom boom. The power of the magic star is very strong, and the speed is surprisingly fast, and it is aimed at Dieter. Boom. The stars slammed into Dieter's body and the surrounding waste crystal walls, and the walls were also smashed out of potholes, as well as several unique bodies that directly hit him. He slammed his body deep into the wall again. Dieter grinned. Ah, that's tough, Dieter muttered. Jalal's strength is also very strong, and it is impossible to beat him in second gear. Most physical strength is heavier than Jelal. But Jalal's total amount of magic power is terrifying, and the magic power released by him is also unusual, so the feeling of a magic star hitting him is not pleasant. Cutter. Dieter took advantage of the gap where Jelal had released the magic, and immediately used the skill combined with the moonstep additive to leave. The body turned into an arc and galloped away. Bite your fingers and blow as soon as you change to a safe place. Fourth gear. Armament color spread all over his body, and that white gas also turned into a rope and surrounded Dieter. The body and limbs were wrapped in that white gas. His body didn't change too much, just a little bigger than the original reminder, and what was surprising was that Dieter's arms looked very long at the moment. The fists are half curled and the arms are bent like a snake. Snake. After Jalal's magic power has skyrocketed, his speed has also become very fast, and knowing that Dieter's power is very strong, he will never fight melee. When the time comes to fight by kite flying, Dieter will be passive. So Dieter went straight into fourth gear, decided to bring Jelal down with sheer speed. Ding. What do you look like? You are not a ghost, Jelal laughed. Dieter's appearance at the moment is also a bit nondescript, with slender arms and a black armed color. The white gas wrapped around him like a snake. A black strand of hair stood on end. It looks weird, but Dieter doesn't really care about Jalal's ridicule, because Jelal will definitely be shocked after a while. Beside, the trapped Erza stared at Dieter at the moment, with deep surprise in his eyes. She knew about Dieter's moves. When fighting Jose, he turned into a chubby-looking state. In that state, his strength was very strong, even if Jose didn't dare to touch it. And this time, Dieter turned into another look. Those slender arms also surprised her. Maybe she would see Dieter's stronger side later. I wanted to grab Dieter and ask him how strong he was. How many appearances are there, and each appearance is very powerful. Can you keep up with my speed? Jelal didn't give Dieter any time, and immediately sped out again. And Dieter's arms are stacked on top of each other. Rubber jet Orochi. The retracted arm was instantly ejected, and the speed was extremely fast. Even Jelal stared in disbelief. Before he could dodge, the arm immediately slammed on his body, slamming his body towards the wall of the magic crystal. Yo! The magic crystal explodes. The fast eyes couldn't keep up, even with Jelal inserted directly into the wall of the magic crystal, but before it was over, the amazing speed was not stopped by the wall of the magic crystal. Pushed out of the Tower of Heaven with Jalal's body on. Impressive. On the small island, Natsu, who had just landed on the island, exclaimed when they watched Jelal, who was shot out of the high point of Tower of Heaven. That man is Jelal, so who was he fighting? Simon took Hugh, Wally, Miliana, and Natsu on the shore for a round, and Jelal, who saw that he was shot out in the air, also hurriedly asked. Brother Dieter, it must be Brother Dieter. Lucy answered without saying a word, and the only person who can knock Jelal out is probably Dieter, and he doesn't need to think about it at all, it's definitely him. Dieter is amazing. Gray also looked at the air with a sigh, although he didn't know the specific situation of the battle, but now it seems to be a unique advantage. Not necessarily, Jelal is scary, Hugh said. Natsu retorted impatiently. What Jelal? Dieter is the most powerful S-rank mage in our guild, and he has even beaten Saint Ten, but he can't beat Jelal? Humph. Happy. As also on Tsunere, Saint Ten Jose also suffered a lot from Dieter, so Jelal must be taken over by Dieter at this moment. Wally and the others didn't answer. In their minds, they couldn't imagine how strong someone stronger than Jelal was. Just keep silent. Jelal, who was beaten out, was not in a hurry to go back. He drew a semicircle with both hands, raised 2 fingers with his right hand, and held his left hand, aiming at Dieter, brewing powerful magic. Let me show you what true destruction magic is. Accept the sanctions of 7 stars. 7 magic circles appeared around Jalal's body, connected in series with each other to form special shapes. 7-star sword, saddle. 7 attack magics fell from the heavenly palace. Dieter. Erza looked at the 7 attacks and immediately struggled to call Dieter, wanting him to leave quickly, not to endure this attack. And Dieter moved his neck. He put his hands on his waist and kept compressing his fists layer by layer. Is it over? It's really interesting, Dieter whispered. Eyeballs flashed red light, seeing and hearing the color launched, accurately predicting the impact of the 7 attacks. Rubber black mamba. Puff. The 2 fists ejected and started to shoot out at an extremely fast speed. After a series of accelerations, they aimed at 2 of the 7 attacks and hit them. Boom boom, the 2 attacks were directly penetrated and exploded in the air to form 2 fireworks. Hee, it's useless, you can smash 2 attacks at most, and there are 5 other attacks that cannot be blocked by you. This is all coming to an end. Jelal was not afraid to laugh when he saw the 2 shattered attacks. Talking happily. The 7 attacks have the power of falling meteors, no matter how you dodge, you will be hit, and the battle will end by then. Attack. Dieter whispered. I saw that the fist that shattered the 2 attacks suddenly turned at a right angle. After several turns, he hit 2 more attacks. Impossible. Jelal lost his voice, unable to believe that the arms could still turn after shattering the 2 attacks. Boom. 2 more attacks were smashed. Those arms turned against common sense again and collided with the remaining 3 attacks. How is it possible that your arm can turn at that speed? Jelal stared in disbelief. Those arms really made him lose his mind. How could there be such magic in this world? Same. Erza also stared at the arms in disbelief. Being able to turn, she knows. But to be able to turn flexibly at this speed, and to take the initiative to collide with the 7 attacks many times, this is simply impossible. Dieter has so many moves, and it goes against common sense. Boom boom boom, turning back one after another, the move that Jelal was proud of was shattered. The 7 attacks were resolved without falling to the ground. Don't come down yet. Dieter reached for it, grabbed Jelal by the neck and pulled it down to the ground. Cough cough. Jelal was smashed and coughed up blood. Immediately used meteor to distance himself from Dieter, panting and staring angrily in front of him. I will never forgive you. Jelal roared, arms folded above his head. The violent magic is madly cathartic. Blowing Dieter's clothes rattled, squinting at Jelal. Erza saw the shadow on the ground stretch out in the opposite direction of the light source, and hurriedly shouted to Dieter. Dieter, run away. Fall into the infinite dark abyss. Jelal increased the output of magic power, and everything around him was sucked into the black hole formed above his head. Aren't you a fixed target now? Dieter laughed. Compressing his arms again, the white mist wrapped around his body is constantly condensing and changing towards the golden color. Rubber King Cobra, Dark Paradise. Both attacks are released at the same time. The suction power of the Dark Paradise is continuously strengthened, and it will absorb everything around it. And the unique move accelerates many times at the moment of punching. The white mist wrapped around the arm also turned into a golden cobra, and the red eyes were different from the open mouth. Just when Jalal's move was completed, Dieter's Rubber King Cobra also slammed into Jelal. Second. Boom. Flavor. Dieter's fist hit Jalal's throat, and he heard something split in that instant. At the same time, the dark paradise above Jalal's hands slowly disappeared. Cough cough. Jelal held his throat and looked at Dieter in disbelief. Avoid. The legs are weak and the body is constantly retreating. It was attached to a huge magic crystal, and the magic crystal seemed to be conscious and devoured it towards Jelal. Rumbling. At this time, the Tower of Heaven was shaking. It's time to withdraw. The magic of the Tower of Heaven is too strong, so the tower can't hold on. Just let Jelal become a container and disappear together. Dieter said. Come to Erza's side and take her out of the Tower of Heaven. Wow. The Tower of Heaven, which was about to explode, disliked the monstrous waves and overturned the Natsu people who were just waiting to get on the ship. Dieter and Erza, who were also about to flee in the air, were also overturned. Tower of Heaven is shrouded in light. The magic power that looked at it spewed towards the sky. Tower of Heaven is slowly disappearing. In the distance on the sea, Dieter followed Erza in midair looking at the original Tower of Heaven. No one spoke first. Dieter wouldn't talk nonsense at this time either, just waiting for Erza to look away. Brother Dieter. Dieter. Erza. You are all right. Not far away, a huge water polo was moving towards them on the sea. Juvia, Natsu and the others were all waving to Dieter and Erza in the air. Come on down, Erza said. Dieter took Erza into Juvia's water polo and chatted with a few people. Jelalhi. Lucy asked. Everyone else looked at Dieter and Erza curiously. Judging from the explosion just now, Jelal didn't appear. Did he just say something? The last blow hit his throat. It should have ruptured, but it was absorbed and fused together by the magic crystal. It is not clear whether he died or not, Dieter said. The final blow did hit Jelal in the throat, but the possibility of Jalal's survival is still very high. As long as it is not directly killed, it is possible to live. Let's go back. Erza withdrew his gaze towards the Tower of Heaven, sighed and put on a smile as he spoke to the crowd. Fairy Tale Guild. The rebuilt guild is incomparably brilliant, and the brand new house is very gorgeous. Dieter and others who came back were amazed. Wow, the new guild is really cool. This guild took a lot of effort. Lucy was surprised. Erza also nodded. I didn't expect the new guilds to be built in the blink of an eye. Let's go in and have a look. Not right. Natsu muttered. Walking in, there is also a special place to sell items. The waiter is a member of the guild. Dieter, Miss Erza, Miss Lucy, and Grey Natsu and Happy are all back, greeted the guild members. Several people walked over and looked at the placed things and were surprised. It's Lucy's model. Happy pulls out a puppet identical to Lucy from the counter. Lucy is ashamed. Ah, why did you make such a product without authorization? It's very embarrassing. All the way. After pushing the door of the guild, you can see the interior of the expanded guild. The neat and tidy tables were arranged neatly and orderly, and the guild members were all laughing and drinking fine wine and chatting about obscure topics among men. So beautiful. Lucy was surprised. Grey and Erza also smiled and looked at the neat guild. The one next to him looked at the guild in front of him with his arms crossed, and continued to remain silent. What's wrong with you? Natsu. Grey asked. It's not the same as before, Natsu muttered. Little Lou, welcome back. Levi greeted. Lucy responded quickly with surprise. Great, huh? Levi said. There's a swimming pool behind the pub. Why a swimming pool? Lucy grumbled. It's different, Natsu said. Levi continued to introduce. There is a playground downstairs. The biggest change is the second floor. Now anyone can go up to the second floor. Dieter yawned and swept across the guild toward a lonely person in a corner. Natsu over there continued to complain. It's different. Levi explained. Of course, if you want to take an S-rank mission, you still have to have an S-rank magician child star. Lucy and the others all looked around the newly created guild. The joy in his eyes could not be concealed, and he was very satisfied with the current situation of the guild. You guys are back, a bunch of little bastards. President Makarov greeted him, and then introduced the girl standing beside him, saying, she's a new member Juvia, isn't she cute? Juvia saluted with her skirt. Please advise. Ha ha ha, I really joined. Gray replied with a smile. Erza also politely took the initiative to thank you. Thank you for your help when you were in Arcane. Makarov continued. There's another new member joining, won't you say hello to everyone? Anyone else? Several people looked around the guild curiously, and quickly locked in Dieter's direction. Lock on to the man opposite Dieter. Hey, just kidding. How could it be him, Gajeel of the Spectre? Gajeel. Lucy Natsu and others exclaimed. A few people looked at Gajeel with hatred and itchy teeth, eager to devour him alive. Gajeel is the one who will destroy the guild. The others in the guild were also silent. They didn't speak, but from their attitude, it was obvious that Gajeel was not very welcoming. Father, he is the one who destroyed our guild. I don't agree with his joining. Natsu retorted. Gray also said unhappily, it's okay if Juvia joins, but Gajeel shouldn't join. Hearing their words, Makarov waved his hand in disapproval. Maintenance. It's okay, it's not that Dieter is here, Gajeel just has nowhere to go, it doesn't matter if he stays. Anyway, he definitely can't beat the unique, just let Dieter take care of it. Juvia also sincerely said, Mr. Gajeel was recommended by Juvia, so please forgive me. Erza said. With Dieter watching and Juvia's recommendation, I'm fine. Levy also said. I'm okay. There. Dieter swept over Gajeel without speaking while sipping the drink in front of him. There is not much impediment to the addition of Gajeel. To speak of his crimes, there are only two more serious crimes, destroying the guild and ravaging Levy. At other times, he was seriously injured and dying. Just don't care. Avoid. At this moment, on the stage in the middle of the guild, Mirajane appeared above with his guitar bare, and the lights in the guild were turned off, leaving only the lights on Mirajane's side on the stage. Mira, we're back. Natsu greeted. Mirajane nodded and smiled and replied. Welcome back. In order to welcome Dieter and the others back safely, and to celebrate the completion of the new guild, I will sing a song. I heard Mira about to sing. All cheered, whistled and talked enthusiastically. Just waiting for you to perform, Mira, Mira. The guild members raised their wine glasses to listen to Mira's singing. Crisp and bright. The singing is moving. Beautiful tone spins reverberate from the plucked guitars. Everyone in the guild was immersed in the wonderful music, with smiles on their faces, and everyone cheered enthusiastically. A song falls. Everyone laughed and laughed. They will continue to sing to each other with the companion next to them. At this time, Gajeel put on a white suit and took the stage. I'll sing one next, Gajeel said. This made many people present reluctantly, clamoring for him to roll down towards the large amount of food and items on the stage. Gajeel disapproved and sang to himself. The moment he opened his mouth, everyone in the guild was stunned. What the hell are you singing? Hurry down, don't be ashamed. It's so ugly. My God, did I offend you and let you insult my ears? Please shut up. The guild was full of wailing and begging for mercy. Dieter smiled at the happy scene. There was a thud in the side. The originally clean and tidy guild was instantly messed up. Outside the guild, Dieter lay in the tree listening to the hum below. Call me to a place like this. What do you want to do? I'm going out to work now. Gajeel asked. Jade said. Don't think that we will agree with you if you join the guild. We are looking for you today for a showdown. Yeah. We want pay. Dwa reconsidered. Hee. Gajeel sneered. This made the two angry, and immediately used magic to attack Gajeel. Gajeel didn't fight back to endure those attacks. Is this more bullying? At this time, Lagoses approached from behind. Several people turned their heads and looked at Lagoses strangely. Gajeel looked at Lagoses with sweat on his forehead. He knew Lagoses' strength, which should not be underestimated. Is this guy just asking my guild to trouble that kid? Lagoses muttered, walking towards Gajeel. That stinky old man, because he didn't get killed, he just took people as his accomplices? Insulted with a hideous face. It's always like this that people will look down on it. ZZ. Stab, the arc jumped towards Gajeel and was ready to attack. Clap. Applause sounded. Dieter gave people applause from the tree. In terms of hindsight skills, I, Dieter, call you the strongest. Stab, thunder and lightning danced around Lagoses. Looking gloomily at Dieter on the tree trunk, he asked, Are you going to stop me? He had a grim face. His tone was unmistakably cold. Dieter shook his head. You didn't help fight, and you didn't tear down the ghost branch like Mistogen. I can't think of any qualifications as an afterthought as you. Then he put on an expression of sudden realization and said quickly, "Hey, you are the grandson of the old man, you are indeed qualified, you continue." Stab, stab, lightning rages around Lagosis's body. Holes were burned by the electric arc on the ground, and the dark face swept the unique glances viciously. "Take a deep breath. Enough, such a guild is not what I want," said and left the scene. Dieter didn't say much, but he knew the fairy tale civil war was about to begin. Finally got a chance to teach Lagosis to be human. Prepare to be beaten up by society. Muttering words, Dieter also left. This day, there was laughter in the city. Banners of the Harvest Festival were hung everywhere, and it was time for the fairy tale event. The residents of the city are very enthusiastic, and various shops on the streets are also holding big sales promotions to celebrate the Harvest Festival. There are also many interesting games, attracting many residents or wizards from other cities to come and watch. The atmosphere of the Harvest Festival is everywhere. Fairy tales parade across the continent can be spectacular. Everyone is looking forward to the magic parade that follows. Inside the Fairy Tale Guild, the Fairy Tale Miss Contest is currently being held. Hello everyone, I've kept you waiting for a long time. Beautiful fairies are competing for beauty. The selection contest for Miss Fairy Tale is about to start, and the host will be my sand magician Max. The host Mark introduced. Shesh, Lala, a large number of audiences applauded enthusiastically. You shouldn't be interested in this kind of stuff, right? Gajeel in the lower corner was eating iron and looked at Dieter, who was looking at the stage in a frightening manner. Because Lagosis was going to play Gajeel before, Dieter was hampered. Therefore, the relationship between Gajeel and Dieter is also relatively good. In addition, Dieter is used to being alone, so Gajeel often communicates with him. This slip. Dieter held the drink on the table and said, "Yes, I prefer to sit on the beach to fish rather than watch the contest for the young lady, but this year's Harvest Festival will be very lively, so I have to put my fishing career on hold." Harvest Festival, Fairy Tale Civil War. This day has finally come, and I can finally teach Lagosis to be the same as 5 years ago. Let him feel some social beating. Pink Skull, I really don't know what's the point of this kind of competition, Gajeel complained. The corners of Dieter's mouth twitched, and he didn't realize that Gajeel was a guy who regarded women as nothing. But after thinking about it, it seems normal. After all, this guy Gajeel has never shown any sympathy when hitting women, so he really has no emotional intelligence. Do you believe, Gajeel, your future will be entangled with a certain girl in the guild, and fall in love, get married and have children? Dieter played taste. However, Gajeel directly denied it without hesitation. Impossible. Dieter didn't say much, and looked back at the stage. The host Max introduced enthusiastically. The #1 contestant, an exotic beauty with a different dimensional stomach, Kana Arupalona. Many of the spectators held high signs. It said support for Kana, and several men wrote, "I love Kana" and other ambiguous words. Next, is time for self-promotion with magic, says Max. Kana stood on the stage, the cards in her hand rose slowly, covering her body. The cards covered Kana's body. Change into a swimsuit. Wow. The man below suddenly swept across Kana with squinted eyes and shouted. The #2 contestant, although she is a newcomer, her strength is S rank, a good woman who keeps dripping with rain, Juvia Loxer. The host continued. Juvia's voice is also not low. A variety of reverie scenes appeared one after another. The 3rd contestant, the guild's proud signature girl, her beauty makes people all over the continent fall under her skirt, she is Mira Jane. The 4th contestant, the fairy queen who needs no explanation. The 5th contestant. Members appear one after another. It quickly spread to Lucy. 7th entry contestant, our super rookie, her brilliance is the guide of celestial spirit, Lucy. Lucy comes on. Warmly greet the people below. The people below all applauded and cheered enthusiastically, giving full support to Lucy. Lucy holds the props ready to perform. Suddenly a voice sounded. The 8th contestant. The people in the guild were surprised, and even the host, Max, glared to find where the speaker was. The fairy refers to me, the beauty refers to me, that's right. I represent all of this, of course, the victory is won by me, Evergreen. Okay, the boring game can be over. Evergreen appeared on stage with a fan, ending the Miss Fairy Tale contest. Evergreen. It turns out she's back. Elfman and Gray grit their teeth and stare at Evergreen on stage. Lucy immediately reprimanded. Wait a minute. Why are you hindering me? This game is about my livelihood. Gray below immediately reminded. Lucy, don't look into her eyes. Lucy was curious. Looking at Evergreen, he didn't understand what Gray meant. Who is this girl? Evergreen asked back, reached out and took off the glasses from his face and looked at Lucy, those eyes twinkling. Before Lucy could react, he was petrified. Max quickly said, everyone, run away. The guests in the guild all fled immediately. Not long after, the remaining members of the guild were still here. Makarov stepped forward and asked, what are you doing? Evergreen, are you trying to ruin the festival? On the stage, Evergreen sneered, don't there always be sideshows at festivals? The curtain behind him was lifted, and Erza, who was petrified, was a group of contestants. Elder sister. Even Erza. Makarov was angry, damn things, don't restore them to their original state immediately. ZZ. Thunder and lightning flashed over the roof, and suddenly it was the figure of Lagoses. In the corner below the stage, Gajeel glanced at Dieter and asked curiously, you don't seem surprised at all, do you know what's going to happen next? This slip, Dieter drank his drink leisurely. He grinned and said, that guy Lagoses has long been dissatisfied with such a guild, this kind of thing will happen sooner or later, and when will the guild members have the most people? Of course, it is the time of the harvest festival, so Gajeel understands. Continue to look at the situation on the stage. Help. Fairy tale guys, the festival is just about to start. Lagoses frantically greeted everyone in the guild. Lagoses, Freed and Bixlow, Thunder Gods. It's the Lagoses guards. Everyone was shocked, but they didn't expect the Thunder Gods to appear. Let's play, old man, said Lagoses. Makarov reprimanded angrily. Don't mess with me anymore, and let them return to their original state immediately. Lagoses ignored him and continued. How many people will survive before the magic parade begins? Just use these women as hostages. If anyone fouls, I will smash them one by one. I didn't say it just now, this is a sideshow. At this time, Dieter got up from the table. He raised his hand to signal. Well, Lagoses, I cannot participate, please let Mirajane and Erza go, I'm going to take them out to fish. Breathe taste. After hearing Dieter's voice, Lagoses was breathing a lot faster. With blue veins on his face, he stared at Dieter with ferocious eyes and scolded angrily. No, anyone cannot participate, but you can't, I will tear you apart and let you understand all the shame you have done to me in the past. Dieter smacks his lips, not surprised. Instead, he turned his head to look at Gajeel in front of him and shrugged. Look, I said that this kid Lagoses couldn't let us leave, to be rude, I only know what he's going to pull when he sets off in Adia. Ha ha ha. Here and there, thunder and lightning are condensed in a frenzy. They were all over the stage, as if they were going to shatter everything. It also represents the anger of Lagoses. You dare to play with me. Lagoses gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. Take a deep breath. Lagoses calmed down his anger. Wasn't it time to argue with Dieter? The priority was to keep the game going. Withdrew his angry eyes and looked at the guild members in front of him. He continued. Who is the strongest person in Fairy Tale? Let's find out. This is a game of fairies. The rule is simple, the last person left is the winner, the battle of Fairy Tale. Boom. Below Natsu is just about to move. A flame burned in his hand, that's good, simple and easy to understand rules, I'm burning. The Thunder God said, if you want to restore the girls to their original state, first knock us down. We only have 4 people, and you have nearly 100 people, right? The time limit is 3 hours, and if the time is exceeded, they will become sand and dust. The combat area is the entire Magnolia, and the fight begins as soon as we are spotted. The guild members clenched their fists in anger. This slip, Dieter drank his drink, ready to say a few words. Ding. Sign in to the Fairy Tale Civil War, reward 40 skill points. The words in my mind appeared, and I successfully signed in again. Dieter was happy. This time the system is quite powerful to appear so early. Immediately immersed in the inverted dendritic diagram of the mind. Now, there are 6 types of navy, rubber fruit ability, and 3 color domineering on the tree map. Among them, the 6th type of the navy has reached its full level. And the rubber fruit is also 1 level worse than the full level. Dieter first adds 10 points to increase the ability of the rubber fruit to full level. At that moment, the properties of the rubber fruit are brought into full play. One of them is lightning immunity. Yes. Dieter understands that it is literally the same. The rubber fruit that has reached the full level can be immune to lightning, which means that unless the current Lagos uses physical or other magic, whether it is Thunder Dragon Slayer magic or lightning magic, it doesn't work for him. Thinking of this, he became more and more excited. Check out the explanation on the immunity to lightning of rubber fruits now. After seeing the content, the whole face is pulled across. What the hell, I thought I was completely immune to thunder magic, Dieter muttered. Indeed. The rubber fruit is really immune to lightning, but here it is explained that the shapeless lightning magic immunity. It means that Lagoses can be immune to the direct use of lightning attack. But Lagos's attack after condensing the thunder and lightning can be effective, but the power will be weakened, and the dragon-slaying magic can have an effect on him. In addition, there is also immunity to poison attribute magic. You don't need to ask to know that it is the same as the setting of lightning attribute magic immunity. It's a pity. Dieter was very sorry, but he didn't worry too much, and looked at the treasure chest that appeared behind the tricolor domineering. With the full level of the rubber fruit ability, a gray unlit treasure chest pattern appeared on the back of the three-color domineering, which also wrote the devil fruit treasure chest. If you open it, you can get the devil fruit ability. Dieter was a little bit hopeful about this. Looking at the remaining 30 skill points, I was also in a tangle for a while. The three-color domineering levels are all level 1, and it's okay to add points separately, but Dieter thinks it should be better to add one separately. Do you add armed color? If you add it, it is level 4. It stands to reason that the armed color is divided into 3 levels, covering, wrapping and releasing. Level 4 should be able to wrap, but unfortunately it is useless for me. I don't have a weapon, so wrap it, there is no place to use it. Add to see the color. No. See the color is invalid for the powerful people. Even if you foresee the future, you can't avoid it. Adding it is a simple waste. It's decided. Add the king color. After comparing each other in Dieter's mind, he found that the overlord color is the most practical. Just do it. Directly add the 30 skill points at hand to successfully increase the overlord color to level 4. Moment. Dieter also understands the effect of the current overlord color. In the systematic explanation, the 3 stages of overlord color are divided into 3 stages: indifferentiated shock, single shock, and physical damage. The first is the awe-inspiring aura that does not distinguish between the enemy and me. The second is that it can be freely controlled in indiscriminate shock and deterrence and single shock and deterrence. The third is the literal meaning. After sorting out the differences, Dieter woke up. The strength in the body has also increased a lot again. If he is to deal with Jelal now, the strength used to defeat him will be reduced exponentially. Isn't it kind of bad for the 100 or so people to bully the 4 of you? Dieter got up from the table, walked towards the stage, and soon came to him, smiling when he saw Lagoses and Thor on the stage. Dieter, I can't pretend you haven't heard that you're the first person of your age, Fried said. Evergreen and Bixlow also covered their mouths and chuckled. Kiss. It looks like the 3 of you are also curious about me. Dieter disapproved, looked at Lagza and asked finally, I'm asking you one last time, are you sure you want to force everyone to play that boring game you say? Lagerses disagreed. Staring at Dieter condescendingly, Buyi said, is it possible that you are afraid? Just kneel down and beg for mercy and I can let you go. His words also made Gray and others extremely disgusted. Even though Gray or Natsu or other peers didn't say a single word to Dieter. In fact, all peers admired Dieter's strength. He respected him quite a bit, and at this time, he was quite angry when he heard Lagos's words like this, and they stared at Lagoses very angry. Dieter said, I am absolutely the most concerned about my companions, but I have never done a commission for my enemies in the past few years, but you should know, Lagoses, that I will kill all enemies. And as the grandson of the chairman, I can save your life, but the thunder gods will die when I catch them. Will die. The 3 Thors were heartbroken. He was indeed frightened by Dieter's words, but quickly abandoned his fear. Bixlow sneered. Who wouldn't talk big? Your strength is definitely not as good as Lagos's. We Thors are not some cats and dogs. You will lose if you meet me. It's lost. It's lost. The doll floating beside him also laughed. Evergreen used a fan in his hand to cover his pretty face, and also thought it was ridiculous, joking. He looks handsome, but it's a pity that he likes to talk big. I'm waiting for you, Fried said. The 3 Thors didn't believe Dieter's words. Dieter chuckled and said, since you guys want to play, then I'll play with you, but there's no need to let so many people in the guild kill each other, just let a few powerful ones come. The members of the guild spoke in a mess, as if arguing over who was eligible to participate. Makarov also loves eyebrows. He didn't interrupt, because he knew Dieter was measured. I'm strong enough, I want to participate, Natsu said. Gray also nodded in recognition that he too was qualified. Dieter looked at Lagoses. Speaking of you, your perception of my strength is still 5 years ago, right? Ah, Lagoses sneered. It was clear that he had no regard for Dieter 5 years ago or now. Okay. Dieter nodded. I'll show you today my strength in 5 years. It's just that this method can be used to separate out the participants. The guild companions are very curious. I don't know what method Dieter intends to use to screen. It shouldn't be as simple as a direct fight. At this moment, Dieter's eyes narrowed. A powerful aura vented from his body, and that aura caused ripples in the space. The momentum is oppressing all around. The hair and clothes of Lagoses and Thor were swayed. That shocking aura left many people's minds blank. Boom. 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 One by one, the guild companions fell and fainted, and they all lost consciousness due to Dieter's aura. In an instant, 90% of the guild members were shocked. This. Of course, Makarov could clearly perceive Dieter's powerful aura just now, and the guild members who saw Xingju were also shocked, staring at the unique back with frowning. This aura emanated from Dieter and belonged to something. Why it feels a little different. Lagoses on the dance stage looked ugly. It wasn't that he was shocked by this aura, but he couldn't believe that this powerful aura was spreading from Dieter. You guy. Lagoses gritted his teeth. Sweeping through the thunder gods, I found that the three of them were pale and ugly. And the three were really frightened. After the aura spreads down, it gives them the feeling of an emperor-like aura, which is also violent and has a strong deterrent effect. Then. What is that? I felt that my body and mind were shrinking, and that momentum was terrifying, even stronger than all known mages. My calf is shaking. Dieter is so strong, just imposing. The arrogant mentality of the three Thors suddenly changed. Seeing Dieter's eyes full of fear, that aura did not make them faint, but it also made them feel scared both physically and mentally. Younger below. The only people still awake were Natsu, Gray, and Gajeel. All other guild members were stunned. Dieter, why is he so scary? What is that? What is it? Why is it so scary? My body is softening. So scary, so scary. The faces of the three were not much better than those of Thor, and they could only sit. The momentum made their legs go weak. Haha. Dieter smiled and replied. This is fair, 4-4 is just right. What do you think, Lagoses? Lagoses's face was ugly. This sudden change made him not know what to do. According to the plan, the civil war in the guild led to cannibalism, and the old man couldn't bear to take the initiative to give up the position of leader, but now the people in the internal conflict are fainting, and the rest of the guys are people who listen to Dieter. How can this go on? There are still 30 minutes before they wake up, which means that I will end the fight within these 30 minutes. I hope your Thors can hold on, but don't let me find them, Dieter said. The eyes swept over the Thor people with extremely unfriendly eyes, and turned and walked outside, obviously preparing to go outside to find the traces of the three. You guy. Lagoses was angry, and the thunder light flashed and led the three Thors out of here. President Makarov asked hurriedly, Dieter, are the people in the guild okay? Dieter waved his hand. It's okay. Wake up in 30 minutes, I'll fix everything before that, haven't played with Lagoses in years. Natsu and Gray and Gajeel are all about to move. It's up to me to stop that guy. After Makarov knew that the guild members were all right, he immediately ran outside and planned to arrest Lagoses first. Boom. However, at the door, Makarov was immediately blocked by something unknown. Father, how are you? Gray stepped forward and asked curiously. The old man pushed forward. There is an invisible wall. Gray went out and looked at the president who couldn't get through, and muttered, Please, what's wrong? Don't you want to do something to your grandson, old man? As he said that, he reached out and grabbed the president and looked outside, but there was no way to search it out anyway. What's the matter? Gray said speechlessly. No matter how hard he tried, he would not be able to get the general out. The formula. Dieter came to the door to explain. Makarov and Gray both looked to the top of the door, where the spell was indeed written. Freed's spell. It seems that Lagoses and the others have been prepared in advance, Makarov said. Gray asked. What's written on it? All people over the age of 80 in the statue are prohibited from entering and leaving, obviously to prevent the old man from going out, Dieter explained. Gray was dissatisfied. It's basically a first-come first-win magic. Dieter also said. Well, it looks like there are only a few of us playgirls, Gray. Let's see who can solve Thor first and find Lagoses. Gray nodded and rushed out to find it first. I also want to participate. I must knock down Lagoses. That guy dares to disrupt the harvest festival. Natsu also rushed outside with enthusiasm. Boom. Unfortunately, like Makarov, he ran into a spell and couldn't get out. Why? Natsu wondered. Makarov suddenly shouted. Natsu, are you over 80 years old? How, maybe. Natsu retorted. Dieter laughed and looked at Gajeel over there. The latter got up and walked outside, saying, I've been unhappy since I saw Lagoses. This time I must teach him a good lesson. Makarov nodded in agreement, watching Gajeel walk outside. Boom. Immediately Natsu and Makarov were dumbfounded. Gajeel, are you 80 years old too? Ha ha ha, Gajeel, you are already an 80-year-old grandpa. Dieter's mouth twitched. Looking at the two people with a look of contempt. It's useless to give you a chance. It was originally 4-on-4, but now it can be directly turned into 2-on-4. Just wait for our triumphant return. Too little trash. Gajeel said with a dark face. F*K, curse you and can't get out. Yes, yes, yes. Natsu nodded and admitted. Dieter must be an 80-year-old grandpa. Dieter sneered. It went through the spell very smoothly. He turned his head and looked at the two guys sarcastically, stepped in again, and then went out again, jumping horizontally several times before leaving. I don't care about Natsu's situation. After Dieter left the guild, he directly turned on his knowledge and sensed the direction of Lagoses and Thor, and looked towards them. Inside the cathedral. Lagoses, Dieter shouldn't be so scared even if he's good, can we still beat him together? Bixlo asked. They also received orders from Lagoses when they returned. Let them hide from the unique, don't be found, wait until the other members of the guild wake up before continuing the plan. That Dieter is really good, but we Thors aren't afraid to hide, Fried also said. After listening to the words of several people, Lagoses also hesitated. The reason why he ordered Thor to do such a thing was also shocked by Dieter's momentum. Now think about it, maybe Dieter's strength is not that strong. Then remember to run away when you meet him alone. Lagoses still decided to let the Thors try, but only let them go together instead of apart. Yes, the distance between us will not be too far, if one side fights, the other two will immediately support, Evergreen said. Lagoses nodded and let Thor go away, and this time, Dieter, who was heading towards Lagoses, also sensed the separation of Thor according to what he saw. If you say you will be beaten, and it's useless to separate. Touching his chin and thinking for a while, he switched directions and walked towards Thor. Lagoses can wait first. Since he wants to design guild members, it is necessary for Unique to let him know the desperation when his subordinates are seriously injured and dying. Make him aware of the consequences of the civil war between his comrades. Then who should I choose first? Dieter thought. Bixlo, Fried is strong enough to be released later. Evergreen can't be defeated so quickly, it will wake up the petrochemical people, and there is not enough time for me to defeat Lagoses. After analyzing, he also walked towards Bixlo's hiding place. I was in a good mood, thinking whether I should kill Bixlo in an instant, or should I take 2 moves. A certain roof with many dolls. Where Bixlo lay, waiting quietly for the 30 minutes to end. Yeah, Lagoses and Fried were really freaked out, and it's clearly the use of some kind of magic that makes people feel that timid. Think about it, Dieter is nothing more than that, and I can beat him too. Bixlo was obviously an afterthought, and felt that he had been frightened on the stage before, and this will also speak arrogantly to himself. Obviously, he didn't take Lagoses's words seriously. Yes. That's when Dieter appeared. Bixlo's whole body suddenly stood up, and he immediately got up and looked at Dieter, who was sitting by the eaves, in dismay. The terrifying aura reverberated in his mind. His heart was beating shatteringly, and his whole body conveyed fear to his brain. You. How did you find mine? Bixlo couldn't speak nervously, and the 5 dolls suspended behind him no longer echoed his words. Judging from his reaction, Dieter's horror is enough. No matter how nice what he said just now, when facing Dieter this time, he would still be shocked by that terrifying aura, and he didn't even have the courage to resist. How many seconds do you think he'll bring you down? Dieter narrowed his eyes and looked at Bixlo in front of him and asked with a smirk. How many seconds? Bixlo gritted his teeth and tried to refute. He really couldn't beat Dieter, but it would be too arrogant to want to win in a few seconds. At the same time, because of Dieter's contemptuous remarks, Bixlo raised a spirit of resistance. If you want to use your strength to prove that you are a member of the Thunder God, your strength is very powerful. My strength is not weak, there is no humiliation like you. Bixlo kept recalling Dieter's sarcastic words, in order to promote the fighting spirit of resistance and let the fighting spirit overcome the fear of Dieter in his heart. Amazing. Dieter was keenly aware of Bixlo's slowly rising fighting spirit. I also admire his courage. Being able to muster up the courage to resist under that kind of momentum is indeed a bit of a skill. He smiled and replied, since you mustered up the courage to resist, then I will give you a chance to perform for a few seconds. After speaking, he stood up and looked at Bixlo across the air. Come on. Please me as much as you like. Dieter said. Straight line, formation. Knowing that time waits for no one, Bixlo immediately manipulated the puppets on top of each other. The crescent chopper shoots out of its mouth. Too slow. Dieter slanted to avoid the crescent chop, watching Bixlo start to count the time. 3 seconds. Dieter stretched out 3 fingers. What? Bixlo questioned in anger. Dieter continued, 3 seconds is enough to kill you, start now. Damn it. Bixlo angrily manipulated the puppet to attack Dieter immediately, about to tear him to pieces. Dieter's figure disappeared instantly. Before Bixlow could react, he felt that Dieter's body had come behind him and immediately turned to avoid it. It's useless. Dieter's unwavering tone sounded. 30's hands stretched out like tiger claws and quickly clasped Bixlow's arms and shoulders. Pull down to lock his arms behind him. The first trick I will break your spine, you can still live with timely treatment. Dieter said. With a sharp pull with both hands, Bixlow's upper body was thrown back, while Dieter immediately raised his knees and hit him. Didi. Cough cough, ah. Bixlow coughed up a lot of blood, and screams permeated all around. His spine was shattered. It's not over yet. Dieter continued, like a cold, emotionless killer. Next up are the arms. The voice fell. Dieter's hands twirled suddenly. Yesterday's taste, ah. Bixlow's arms were ripped apart at a deformed angle, and his scream became more intimidating. The severe pain in his body was beyond his vow. The emergency escape of the brain caused him to fall into a state of dizziness. Puff. Dieter released Bixlow, who fell to the ground like mud. The upper body and lower body face each other up and down as if torn apart. Those arms were like lumps of rotten meat, folded together. Bixlow. Bixlow, what's wrong with you? Freed and Evergreen also flew quickly from not far away, and immediately called out when they saw the bleak appearance of Bixlow on the ground. The spine is broken, the bones of both arms are broken, and it is impossible to be an ordinary person. Dieter's words were thunderous. Freed and Evergreen's faces were pale, their legs were weak, and their eyes were red as they looked at Bixlow, who was on the ground, and opened their mouths to say something. Let Bolasika in the eastern forest heal, and there is hope for recovery, and now give you a chance. Evergreen takes Bixlow away to heal, and by the way unravel Erza in their petrification. If they don't agree, the three of Thor in the fairy tale guild will die from today, Dieter said. Hiss. Freed and Evergreen both gasped. Feel the cold killing intent. I also understand that Dieter's words can't be fake at this moment. Okay. Evergreen agreed without thinking at all. Rushing to save Bixlow is the most important reason, and also killing them like slaughtering dogs with Dieter's combat power. Don't give any chance at all. It is said that there are two paths, but there is only one option of obedience. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Lagos is stunned. Can't you see that as his guards? You must understand that before you became the Lagos guards, you were members of the fairy tale guild. Dieter explained. Evergreen and Freed were silent. The former did not say a word after thinking about it, and took Bixlow to leave quickly to prepare for treatment. That leaves Freed and Dieter facing off. You are not too old, you are my peers. I proved 5 years ago that I am the eldest brother of my peers. As a younger brother, your mistake is my big dereliction of duty. So then you end up the same as Bixlow, broken bones all over your body, and then lie in a hospital bed for a while. Take your strongest stance and attack me. Dieter spoke quietly. Although there is the suspicion of being on the line, it is indeed appropriate to say such words on this occasion. Okay. Freed knew that facing Dieter alone was a surefire outcome. I don't expect to be able to escape from Dieter's hands, simply overcome difficulties and swing a sword towards Dieter. Even if they lose, they have self-respect. At the same time, after Dieter and Bixlow faced off, the battle information was updated in the guild and in front of Lagos's. Dieter versus Bixlow. Makarov is watching with Gajeel and Natsu. Dieter is amazing, found Bixlow so quickly. Natsu was excited. Yet Makarov was just about to speak. The battle information on the spell has been updated. Dieter versus Bixlow. Bixlow is dying. Dieter wins. Hiss. After seeing this information, the three of them gasped. Dying. This kid Dieter is too insignificant. There can't be a death case. Makarov worried. Gajeel grinned sincerely and said sarcastically, then Lagus's is obviously playing with fire. If you provoke anyone, you have to provoke him. This is good, the Thors are dead. The information above also reminded Gajeel of the tragedy when he attacked Fairy Tale. Really almost died. It's okay. Dieter won't kill our comrades, Natsu retorted. Makarov didn't speak, his heart gradually sank. Dying. I'm afraid it's not going to die. Someone's coming, Gajeel said. Makarov and Natsu looked over and saw Evergreen who was coming. Dieter asked me to come over to unravel the petrochemicals, and then go to the eastern forest, Ms. Chingpo Liusika, in a hurry to stay out of the way, Evergreen said. Put down the dying Bixlow, and at the same time untangle the petrification of Erza and others, and leave. Ha ha ha, I just said Dieter won't kill our comrades, Natsu laughed. Makarov did not speak, but he was really relieved, and he was really worried that someone would be killed by Dieter. Inside the church. Lagos's was in a fidgety mood. Second kill. That guy Dieter really didn't make it. Lagos's face was dark, and Bixlow's dying state made him upset. Although he is cruel. But he attached great importance to the Thors. At this moment, someone was dying, and his heart could not be quiet. He wanted to fight in place of Thor and Dieter immediately, so as not to put the lives of the other two Thors in danger. Dieter versus Fried. The new battle situation update. Lagoses is more worried. In confrontation, Fried looked for opportunities to attack. 3 seconds on Bixlow. I don't know how long you can last, Dieter said. Fried didn't dare to answer. There is some kind of plan in my heart, and I don't plan to take it hard. Wing. Fried waved the weapon in his hand, and several dark words appeared on his body. A pair of wings stretched out from behind him and flew towards the rear with him without a word, as if he wanted to escape. Ha ha. Dieter chuckled and burst out with strength to chase Fried, and he could indeed kill him in seconds. But this Fried seems to have some weird ideas. This made Dieter want to follow along to see what he was going to do. One after another, one chasing and one running. The distance between the two was deliberately controlled by Dieter, enough that he could catch up with a sprint. Are you still going to keep running? Dieter continued to chase. He was not in a hurry at all, because Fried was running in the direction Lagoses was, just to save some time. After hearing the words, Fried stopped suddenly and stood at a distance from Dieter as if waiting for something. Dieter stepped forward. After reaching a certain distance, the raised foot also retracted. With a playful smile on his face, "You are waiting for me to step in, there are techniques here." Fried remained silent. Yes. Just in front of Dieter is a spell barrier, and it's a fairly targeted spell. Just didn't expect Dieter to find out. I thought you had some great tricks, but it turned out to be like this. To be honest, I'm quite disappointed. Dieter shook his head. Seeing that the color is on, he can predict the danger ahead. Therefore, there is no middle plan to enter the surgery. It looks like it's impossible to solve you with a spell, and there is a reckless fight, Fried regretted. According to his idea, the only thing he can rely on to defeat Dieter is spells. It was because of the spell that he was running around with Dieter. Seeing to be fooled or being seen through. Come on, don't use these little tricks or anything. Dieter moves muscles and bones, severe pain. Fried seized the opportunity to use dark text, and the spell that represented severe pain quickly shot over. It's useless. Dieter didn't need to be afraid at all, he turned his body a little to avoid the spell. Terror, pain, death. Fried immediately used all other spells without hesitation, and dark texts attacked Dieter. Did the SLR be touched by one of them? Enough to get into trouble. How Fried wanted that to happen, unfortunately. No matter how fast the dark text was, it couldn't hit Dieter. Those spells were easily avoided by Dieter. Dark text darkness. Fried's one eye turned black, and he swung the knight's sword down again. This time the dark text didn't hit Dieter. Rather, it fits the body into the body. That moment. The magic power on Fried's body soared, an evil aura emanated from his body. The ground beneath his feet was shaken out of cracks, and the gravel was ground into dust by the terrifying magic power. That's fun. Dieter smiled and shot, arching his waist. The ground beneath his feet exploded, and the crater was broken open by the explosive force. The big pothole is like a compass cracked with spider patterns. Before the rubber fruit coins are full, Dieter can perfectly control the power in the body. No matter how much he hits, the power will not spread to the wall or the ground. But after the rubber fruit's ability is full, he has been unable to control the power perfectly. No matter how much he exerts his power, a lot of power will be released, resulting in inevitable damage. Dieter rushed out, rubbing Fried with his right fist. After the magic power in the latter's body condensed frantically, the whole person turned into a dark demon, and no human figure could be seen in the hideous body. Roar! He roared and raised his fist and slammed into Dieter. Boom! The earth shattered, and the power of the two people spread to the ground, squeezing the area they were in into a large circular pit. Gravel is everywhere. The fists of the two collided, and the aftermath danced the windows of the surrounding houses. Brilliant. The glass was shattered. Their battle inevitably led to chaos all around Joe. Boom. The power of follow-up broke out again. The bodies of the two were overturned. The ground was ravaged by Pear's debut, and Dieter's long sleeves were also shattered by the aftermath, revealing his muscular biceps. Amazing. Dieter complimented without sorrel. The strength of the three Thors, of which Fried is the strongest, is mainly the state of this pair of demons. Being able to tear Dieter's sleeves to shreds is also enough to show how good he is. Dieter really can't beat the demon Fried if he doesn't enter the second gear. Roar. Fried growled again. His hands were raised above his head, and a dark ball of light was brewing. It's not fun to zoom in directly, Dieter complained. The arm pumped, immediately entered the second gear state, instantly increased speed and strength, and beat Fried violently. Dark light bullet. The dark magic bullet was thrown out, and the attack speed was very slow, but it was not to be underestimated. Dieter didn't want to bump into it either. Immediately flash away and avoid the dark light bullet. Boom boom boom. The dark light bullet was obviously extremely powerful, and after being dodged by Dieter, it also landed on the ground on the street. Exploded. The terrifying destructive power exploded in an instant, and a large ball of dark tones appeared on the entire street. It was like an upside-down bowl exploded, and the huge explosion wave blew away the open windows of every household. Almost all the houses near the light bomb are gone. Fortunately, there were no casualties. It's going to kill you if you delay it any longer, so let's end it quickly. Looking at the aftermath of the extremely destructive power, Dieter Manmei gave up his plan to continue to play. Too powerful magic would accidentally injure the residents, it is better to solve it quickly. Do not. Dieter came to Fried's eyes using the instant system. His hands clenched into fists with white steam on his body, his eyes no longer had the playful look he had before, and he was earnestly preparing to end the battle. Rubber jet machine gun. Both hands hit Fried without a shadow. The fist slammed on his body, and there was a crackling sound. Fried's pupils widened to withstand the rain-like impact, his fists brought him severe pain. The bones in his body were constantly humming and screaming, and each fist made him feel the pain of concentration. Ah! Fried couldn't help exclaiming anymore. The demon's body could only be transformed into a pure sandbag and was constantly bombarded, and the bones of the whole body were under the attack of the storm. The bones on his body were broken one by one. 1 or 2, 3, 4 or 5, and the bones all over the body were broken in a large area. That unique fist showed no sign of stopping. Pain. The severe pain in his body made him want to breathe because of the injuries on his body. Clap clap clap. Boom. The offensive for several minutes finally stopped, and the unique final blow landed on Fried. At this moment, the Fried in front of Dieter's eyes had turned into a bloodman. He fell to the ground without knowing whether to live or die. Within the guild. Dieter versus Fried. Fried is dying, Dieter wins. Also dying. It is still to solve the opponent in a very short time. Makarov looked at the current information and his face became heavy. Dieter seemed to be far more powerful than he thought, and even today's Dieter seemed to be very ruthless. Now that's Lagos's, Gajil said. It's not hard for him to think that Fried's state will definitely not be very good, and he also thinks that Lagos's is very unlucky. If it's bad to provoke someone, you have to deal with Dieter. Now just wait till it's over. Is Fried going to be sent back soon, too? Natsu asked. Makarov looked at Evergreen, who also nodded and turned away to get Fried back. Hopefully Erza can find Lagerses before Dieter, otherwise the results of Lagerses will not be very good. Makarov sighed. 2 are dying. The mastermind, Lagoses, may also be dying. Even if Lagoses is older and stronger, the growth rate is still much slower. There's no way he's going to be Dieter's match. Even if he tried his best, he couldn't win, and the final result was likely to be lying in the hospital for a long time with Thor. Ah! I really want to participate, Fairy Tale's strongest wizard. Natsu slapped the technique in front of him. Angrily speaking, watching Dieter slaughter the quartet and tickle his teeth with envy. Cathedral. Lagoses sat on the steps and looked at the dazzling death, with endless anger and some regret in his heart. If it weren't for him, it might not have happened to Thor. Available soon. This feeling of regret was immediately buried. With red eyes, he said angrily, Dieter, I will definitely tear you apart, so that you only know who is the strongest magician of Fairy Tale. Zizi, Raiden also rioted because of his anger. Destroy the surrounding buildings. Dieter. While Dieter was guarding Fried, Erza also chased after him from a distance and hurriedly greeted him. He was also startled when he saw Fried covered in blood on the ground. Is it scary? Dieter asked. Do you think I'm cruel and cruel? Erza remained silent. She didn't speak, but she could see that it was indeed cruel. Considering the close relationship between the two, they didn't say those hurtful words. Although Fried looked miserable, he was still breathing, indicating that he was still alive. Maybe. Dieter looked in the direction of the cathedral. Only as the eldest brother of the guild's peers, Dieter just felt that it was necessary to establish his prestige, and the Thors and Lagoses who were trying to hurt their comrades should indeed teach them a lesson. The attack was indeed a bit ruthless, but Dieter was merciful. Otherwise, using his current strength to target Fried with a 6-style profound truth, the 6 King's Spear, he would be able to shatter his internal organs directly, and he would not be able to save him at that time. Of course, he didn't even explain. However, after today's battle, it can be regarded as a wake-up call for all members of the guild to let them understand the price of hurting their comrades. Erza, Dieter, I'm here to bring Freed. Evergreen also flew over from a distance, seeing the miserable Freed and worried that he would die because of the slow treatment. Dieter waved, well, let's go. Evergreen hurriedly left with Freed. Stay away from this scene, for fear that Dieter will suddenly attack her, and she will really die by then. Just Lagoses, Dieter said. He walked towards the cathedral with his hands behind his back. Erza, who was behind him, didn't say a word and just followed quietly, obviously thinking of going with Dieter to find Lagoses. Dieter stopped outside the cathedral, pushing open the door and looking at the Lagoses inside. The Thors have all been defeated. Evergreen is a woman and I didn't touch her, so your game is entering the end stage, so let's concede early, or I'll really have no measure and I'll crush you, Dieter said. Lagoses was relieved to see Dieter, and wondered if it was because Evergreen had escaped the catastrophe. After hearing his words, his face became solemn. This is bad news. Without the petrochemical people, the old man will never let him out of the guild, so he must think of another way. Ah. Do you really think this is the end? Lagoses looked at Dieter with a crazy expression on his face and a wanton laugh. That's when he started his speech. Since Evergreen also lost, let's start the backup plan, and now add new rules because of the rules change. Lagoses, stop here, you can't win unique. Erza scolds. Blue veins exploded. Lagoses shouted angrily with red eyes. Impossible, I will never lose to him. It was just my mistake 5 years ago. If he left for 5 years, I would have defeated him long ago. He is crazy. Crazy swear of their own strength. Before proving that he is not weak now, he only needs one more game to win. Defeat Dieter, who has shadowed him for 5 years. I didn't expect you to hold grudges for 5 years, but unfortunately you are doomed to fail. You don't understand what fairy tale is, let alone the bond between companions. I don't want to continue the nonsense, don't you just want to fight with me and then bring shame? Come on, show your strength to your heart's content, let me bring you the despair of the top 5 again. Dieter said. ZZ. Stab, stab, the thunder and lightning became more and more violent, and the arc spread all over the cathedral, lurking, ready to obey the edict to give Dieter a thunderous blow. I have activated the Shenming Temple, and after another 30 minutes, the Shenming Temple's attack will cover the entire city, mercilessly destroying everything in the city, ha 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 ha. Lagoses became more and more mad, and he laughed up to the sky and made a sinister laugh. The Temple of God? Erza widened his eyes and scolded. Lagoses, do you want to involve all the innocent people? In the Temple of Gods, each magic crystal ball carries a very powerful amount of magic lightning. Once they erupt, they will bring endless destruction to the entire city. The huge city will also be destroyed by the lightning, and everything will be wiped out. Residents of the city and those who come to visit will die without a place to be buried. Maybe. Lagoses sneered, looking at Erza and Dieter and said without showing weakness, there are only 30 minutes, unless you beat me, the whole city will be wiped out. Lagoses can't handle that much anymore. He just wanted the old man to give up the position of the guild's president, otherwise the sacrifices of the thunder gods would be in vain. Now it is imminent, just need to wait to get the status of the president. You're really going too far. Dieter shook his head helplessly. His eyes became more and more cold, and he confronted him. 30 minutes. You look too high on yourself, you don't need that long. You are very strong now, but unfortunately I am stronger. Moment. Overlord color erupted again, and this time Dieter used the shock and deterrence only for Lagoses. In an instant, the air ride is agitated. A solemn aura vibrated towards Lagoses' soul. Like momentary effort. Even Lagoses felt as if a large hand was pinching his throat, making it difficult for him to breathe, and his brain was showing signs of hypoxia. Arrive avoid. The body can't stand so steady. Under the impact of this momentum, Lagoses' body involuntarily took 2 steps back and his face became more and more ugly. You bastard. Lagsa stammered when he spoke, and the unbelievable look in his eyes could be seen at a glance. The momentum made him feel powerless. It seems that what he is facing is not his fellow guild mates, but this vast and boundless world, as if being targeted by the world is terrifying. The momentum made him feel hopeless. The kind of despair that is powerless to return to the sky and has long been set to lose. Horrible. Too terrifying. Lagoses glared at Dieter with gritted teeth, unable to imagine that the aura emanated from Dieter. Lagoses was furious, and his angry roar broke through the momentum that was being held down in his heart. Negative emotions such as powerlessness and despair are instantly broken. Thunder and lightning filled the entire Tiangong, and bursts of thunder crashed down, knocking out various potholes of different sizes on the ground of the cathedral. The whole church is in disarray. Lagoses also suppressed his unease and attacked Dieter with unyielding anger. Thorn Lala, thunder and lightning accompany him left and right, and he controlled the violent lightning to hit Dieter. I am the strongest. Lagsa roared, and the thunder and lightning became more violent because of his emotions, and the violent thunder and lightning continued to roar. One after another hit Dieter's body. Dieter. Seeing Dieter drowned by lightning, Erza cried out in surprise, and prepared to rescue Dieter with a weapon. Need not. During the thunderbolt, Dieter, who was covered by the violent thunderbolt, refused. Calmly walked out of that thunderbolt. Except for the tattered clothes on his body, nothing has changed. How can it be? Lagoses asked angrily. His thunderbolt didn't cause even the slightest harm to Dieter. It would be fine if Dieter escaped, but Dieter was obviously attacked from the front, and the clothes on his body also proved that he was really hit by lightning just now, but it had no effect at all. What exactly is going on? How come? You. Erza was also stunned. She also saw the unique without evading, and she was facing the boundless thunder and lightning of Lagoses. But now he has no injuries at all. Although the clothes on his body are tattered, the exposed skin is not even scratched. How could it be possible? Dieter raised an eyebrow and smiled without saying a word. In my heart, I also like the ability of the rubber fruit very much. As expected, it is immune to thunder-type attacks. The series of thunderbolts that Lagoses had just now were ordinary thunderbolts. Lightning that has not condensed into a form is indeed completely immune to the special effects of the rubber fruit ability. Can you believe it? I'm immune to lightning. Dieter's words suddenly made Lagoses feel different. He never believed in such a thing. How could anyone be immune to the thunder and lightning of nature? Totally impossible. Thunder and angry waves. Lagoses attacked in anger, and a large number of thunder and lightning clouds gathered above Dieter's head, and the black clouds flickered with boundless thunder and lightning. Gotcha. Then he plummeted in anger, crashing straight down on Dieter. He was going to use thunder and lightning to defeat him, and he never believed that Dieter could be immune to the unreasonable things like thunder and lightning. Boom! Plus that thunder annihilated Dieter's figure. He was drowning in the astonishingly powerful lightning, the power of which even shattered Dieter's feet, smashed the stone floor, and smashed the soil into a black reef. Erza, who was behind the terrifying thunder, was terrified. For fear that Dieter would be seriously injured by the detached lightning, his eyes were locked on the position where Dieter was standing. Same. The ferocious Lagsa also stared at him. He didn't believe that Dieter was immune to lightning, but he was still very worried about and stared at Dieter to get the result he wanted. I said, the lightning was only a moment, and Dieter's figure appeared unscathed. If it weren't for the dilapidated scene on the ground, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to believe what kind of thunder and lightning power Dieter endured just now. Thunderbolt doesn't work for me. Dieter drank it, stepped out with his lower limbs, broke through the charred ground, and attacked Lagoses with great speed. Lagoses was shocked that Dieter was immune to lightning. But it wasn't too rude, and when he saw Dieter's attack, he immediately rushed out. Boom. The two collided instantly. The aftermath stirred up a lot of rubble, and no one backed away. Lagersaw's fist wrapped this boundless thunder and lightning crazy punches. Dieter instantly entered the second gear and covered his fists with armed colors. Not to be outdone, Lagersaw trembled. Bang bang bang. From the visible figure to the invisible figure. From a collision on the ground to a battle in the air. Instant snap. Neither of the two made any extra moves, and used the most powerful force to keep hitting each other. The cathedral broke open. The figures of the two people are still missing. It seems that the two groups of energy are constantly shattering. Residents of the city are puzzled. What's going on over there? Seems to be the direction of the cathedral. Is Fairy Tail setting off fireworks? Who knows? The two things will also emit electric light when they touch each other. Maybe it's really going to start fireworks. Anything other than fireworks. Could it be two people in everyone? Ha ha ha. Residents watched carefully. I didn't feel that the two groups of things that seemed to be energy were humans, and they were fighting without leaving any room. Air. After another collision, Lagoses put his hands in front of him. Zhao Gongza mustered the thunder and lightning that was brewing with unexpected power. Trouble. Dieter murmured that his attacks were all melee, but no range. Fourth gear stretch man. Dieter, who had no choice, could only enter fourth gear and use stronger physical strength to fight. Roar of the thunder dragon. Lightning gathered in his lungs, and he puffed out his chest and opened his mouth. Rubber ape king gun. Dieter entered the fourth gear, his fist stretched and stretched layer by layer, and the pair of roaring thunderbolts blasted past. Fortunately, the armed color domineering can also be confronted with magic. Otherwise, Dieter can't attack Thunderbolt with this move, and everything will be over. Boom. Sonic boom. Both the Thunder Dragon's roar and the Ape King's spear carry powerful destructive powers. After the two collided, they exploded in the air instantly. The sound of the explosion was like a sonic boom, which was deafening. The aftermath of the explosion was even more violent. Uncontrollably swept around. A large number of residents who were watching the lively were unable to walk due to this unusually strong wind. Residents close to the cathedral were even able to cling to nearby buildings to protect against the wind. Ha ha ha, so you are not immune to lightning. Lagoses rushed forward, raising his fists with unconcealed ecstasy in his eyes. He also found out that Dieter was not immune to lightning attacks. Dieter raised an eyebrow. The body sank rapidly to prevent Lagoses from taking the opportunity to attack. The face of Thunder Dragon. The thunder and lightning gathered in his fists and tried his best to move towards the top of Dieter's head, which was bound to kill him with one blow. You are too arrogant, Dieter sarcastically. The body did not endure this move by Lagoses, but took advantage of the strength to retreat, making Thunder Dragon's forehead empty. Dieter raises his right fist high again in layers. When the fist has compressed in, immediately open the mouth and continue to blow into the arm. The shrunken arm instantly became bigger. Rubber Great Ape King Gun. Dieter strikes with a bang. The enhanced version of the Ape King Gun brings more powerful power, as well as more terrifying hardness and faster speed. Once hit, it will definitely knock down Lagoses. I am the strongest, Lagoses roared, raising his hands as if he was holding something. A large amount of thunder and lightning took shape in his hands. In an instant, a Fangtian halberd composed of lightning appeared, and the formed Fangtian halberd exuded the ultimate edge. It seems that all objects will be pierced by it. Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji, attack out. Lagoses threw the square halberd formed in his hand and aimed it at Dieter's Great Ape King's spear. Seems to want to win and lose in power and destructive power. What? Ah! The collision broke out again, and the fist of the Great Ape King's spear touched the tip of Fang Tianji. Thunder and lightning are spreading wildly. There is a magic factor that exceeds the standard in the air, and it seems that there will be a space crack at the intersection of the two collisions. Brown. Flavor. The Fang Tianji of Lagoses was outrageously strong, and no one could compete with it, but unfortunately it was Dieter, and the armed color on his fist was enough to withstand a big blow. After a stalemate for a moment, the Fang Tianji slowly cracked. Do not. Lagoses roared unwillingly, but the Fang Tianji was smashed to pieces, and the Great Ape King's spear continued to move forward with a menacing momentum. Lagoses has been unable to continue. Arms with dragon scales and stripes crossed and placed in front of him lived with the strength of the Great Ape King's spear. Boom. Lagoses couldn't gather his strength in the air. Even though his attack power and speed were further improved by blowing up the dragon scales, it would be somewhat useless. It was shot down directly from the sky by the Great Ape King's spear. Fall towards the ground. But Dieter didn't stop there. The legs are stacked in successive layers until they are fully retracted within the body. Rubber Rhino Howitzer. Out loud. Those legs exploded with unprecedented speed, piercing the air and hitting Lagoses in the body again, rushing towards the cathedral. Boom boom. The roof of the cathedral shattered and another large hole was broken open. Dieter's feet pinned Lagoses to the ground, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Eyes blood red and eyes widened. His energy and spirit also shrank, not as imposing as before, and there was not much magic left in his body. Dieter fell from the sky. Take a deep breath and exhale. In less than 5 minutes, you are already defeated. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Lagoses tried his best to squeeze out a word. Do you have to go on when you can't stand up? Dieter scoffed. Lagoses stood up from the ground with difficulty. His eyes were still full of bloodshot and dissatisfaction. After shaking his body a few times, he put his hands up and down in front of his eyes. The strongest magician, it's me. Lagoses roared furiously. The little magic power left in his body was vented frantically, and a dazzling light burst out from his hands. This is. Erza felt something was wrong. Suddenly exclaimed. What are you going to do, Lagoses? Leprechaun Law. Dieter also immediately remembered what Lagoses's move was at this time, and couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Is it too serious to bully Lagoses? As long as the person who uses this trick regards the other party as an enemy, it will be obliterated, which is basically a super magic with no solution. If Lagoses really use it, Dieter couldn't imagine it. When I hesitated, I also saw the badge of the Fairy Tale Guild. Bring it on. Dieter took a deep breath and waited quietly. Leprechaun Law is perfect. Even being able to use this super magic to dominate the world is also the foundation of the guild, and there is basically no possibility of facing it head-on. Can only pray that the badge of the guild will work. Gone away. Goblin Law. A golden light instantly enveloped the entire cathedral, and everyone outside the guild building in the distance could see it clearly. The Goblin Law. Lagos's actually launched the Goblin Law. What the hell is he going to do? Makarov roared. Suddenly, his heart throbbed, and he immediately held onto the wall next to him and clenched his teeth. Chairman, are you all right? Mirajane saw the state of the president and immediately stepped forward to support him and ask. Makarov shook his head and looked at the light in the distance. Is Lagos's being driven to a dead end? Otherwise, no matter how angry he is, he shouldn't launch the fairy law. Will something happen to Brother Dieter? Lucy hurriedly asked. The Goblin Law she had heard of seemed to be a kind of life-consuming magic. Use it to see the heart as an enemy to annihilate. Now it is obvious that Brother Dieter is forcing Lagos's to a desperate situation, otherwise how could such a thing be possible? There are also some concerns. It's okay, the Goblin Laws are triggered very regularly, and despite Lagos's mentality, the magic won't work. Makarov comforted. Still a little worried looking at the cathedral. He was really afraid that Lagos's would fall into the darkness because he was beaten so badly by Dieter, and regarded human life as a must, hoping that Dieter would have a way to stop it. On sight, Erza pounced on Dieter with wide-eyed eyes. It's useless to try to knock Goblin Law down before he's released, but it's just an instinctive act. Destroy it. Lagos's roared, and the fairy law in his hand was activated instantly. A dazzling light enveloped everyone. The golden light lasted for nearly 3 seconds before slowly disappearing. The excited expression on Lagos's face also solidified, watching Dieter and Erza open their mouths, who were unharmed. It's all right. Erza opened his eyes to see Dieter and himself unharmed. Obviously hit by such a strong magic, Lagos's looked at his hands and wondered for the first time whether there was something wrong with the Goblin Law. Dieter responded. The people of the guild and the residents of the city are all fine, and no one has been killed by this magic at all. It's impossible, Lagos's retorted. Goblin Law is perfect magic. Erza didn't speak, and she couldn't understand the situation at the moment. But Dieter laughed and sat directly on the ground, wiping the sweat from his palms. He was really angry just now. Fairy Law is perfect super magic after all. Dieter said, yeah, the Goblin Law is perfect, and it can kill all the enemies that the caster is made of, but do you really see me or Erza and the guild companions as enemies in your heart? No, all those who stand in my way are enemies, all are. Lagos's went wild. But Dieter shook his head. It's almost there, you can't deceive magic in your heart. What you inherited from the president is not only great strength, but also a heart for your companions, Dieter said. Lagos's subconsciously wanted to open his mouth to refute. But he didn't know how to say the words. His eyes swept across Erza and Dieter, and his body fell back to the ground. Puff. Lagos's magic power-consuming star died. Notify the president, I'm going to clean up those things outside, the Goblin Civil War is over. Dieter got up and walked outside. Erza nodded and looked at the fallen Lagos's and said nothing. Outside. Dieter took a deep breath into second gear. Use the moon step to hit those thunderballs and clear all the dangers covering the sky. When coming back again, the president and women like Mirajane, as well as Natsu and Gray came here. Dieter, let's fight, the strongest wizard of the Fairy Guild is not over yet. I will definitely be the strongest. Natsu was overjoyed when he saw Dieter's return and was about to rush over to strike. Dieter, you did a very good job, and as the eldest brother of your age, you did a very perfect job. Makarov praised. Yeah, fortunately, with you, this can stop Lagos's from doing stupid things in time. Brother Dieter, it's amazing. One person first dealt with the Thors and defeated Lagos's. Sure enough, Brother Dieter is the strongest. Natsu and Gray are not good either, damn it. What? Everyone else started to praise them one after another. Dieter smiled. Father, Lagos's just took a detour, and I hope you will take it lightly. Dieter helped intercede. Within the guild. Thanks to Madame Bolosica, both Thor and Lagos's have their lives saved. Erza addresses the guild. However, the guild members below were not too happy. Monument. Soon someone flipped the table and shouted. What's the matter? We also want to teach Lagos's a good lesson for the president. That kid Dieter is so annoying. Ah ha ha. I don't even know how I got dizzy. I heard that it looks ugly and I don't know if it's true or false. Speaking of which, what exactly is Dieter stunned us? It's unbelievable that a form we've never seen before can stun our minds and stun people. Super strength Dieter, as expected of a person who became an S-rank mage 5 years ago, his strength is indeed terrifying. Ha ha ha, no matter what, the magic parade will still be held. The guild members were clamoring for Dieter to give an explanation. And Dieter was now in the ward. The 3 seriously injured guys on the bed were tightly bandaged, like a mummy. You young people don't have any importance, humans really hate them, and they fight all day long, that's why I hate humans. Bolasika was preparing the herbs again and scolded him endlessly. Dieter and Makarov sat not far away and listened to the lecture quietly. Wait a long time. Lagoses came out of his coma. Makarov then said, "Do you know what you have done this time?" Hearing Makarov's words, Lagoses staggered his eyes in shame and seemed to realize his mistake. "Look into my eyes," Makarov said seriously. "The so-called guild is a place where partners gather, and it is also a place for intermediaries to work. It is a warm home for helpless little devils, and it is not your personal thing. The guild is based on mutual trust and morality, and has become a bond stronger than anything else, but you violated morality and threatened the lives of your partners. This is absolutely unforgivable." Lagoses was discouraged, his tone was much lower, and his hand wrapped in gauze on the bed was rubbing tightly. "I just want this guild to become stronger." "Hey," Makarov sighed, walked over to the window with his hands behind his back, and said, "You're such a clumsy fellow, why don't you relax your shoulders?" Introduced to Lagoses. Dieter is strong enough, he is the most powerful person besides Gear Das, but he also goes fishing every day to relax, and does nothing but flirt with Mirajane and Erza all day. Don't care. But who would dare to underestimate him? As the eldest brother of his peers, he didn't think about you, running around for the guild all day. Bystander Dieter regretted it. How the hell did it get involved with him? Seeing Lagoses looking at himself, he rolled his eyes speechlessly and did not speak. You can't understand the fun of fishing. Later, I also sat with Dieter fishing, and then I found out that fishing is also very interesting. When you relax, you will see things you haven't seen before, and hear things you couldn't hear before. The voice, life will become very interesting. Makarov patiently enlightened Lagoses. With soft eyes in his eyes, he said, "For me, watching you grow is the meaning of my life. It doesn't matter if you are not strong or smart enough, as long as you are healthy and energetic, it is enough for me." Lagoses opened his trembling mouth, and he didn't know what to say at this time. Makarov took a deep breath. "Lagoses, you have been expelled from the guild." Lagoses's mind went blank. Looking at Grandpa's back, he didn't refute, and got up from the bed with difficulty. Looking at the thin back, he said, "Well, thank you for taking care of me. Turn away." When he arrived at the door, he said, "Grandpa, you have to take good care of yourself. Get out of here." Magical parade. Under the starry sky at night, fireworks and firecrackers are burning. A large number of residents on the street are eagerly waiting for the fairy tale to travel. On the roof, Dieter cross-legged and looked at the bustling city with a smile. Appeared with fairy tale. The atmosphere of the magic parade also reached its peak, with countless people waving small items in their hands and calling out the name of the fairy tale guild. In the alley, Lagoses watched quietly. When everyone appeared in the field of vision, all the members raised their right hands in unison at that moment. The index finger and thumb are pointed up to the sky. That moment, Lagoses burst into tears and smiled calmly. "Even if you can't see your figure, even if you are far apart, I will always look at you, and I will always protect you."